violating federal law. Palmer was taking part in a House Oversight Committee hearing with the mayors of New York City, Denver, Chicago, and Houston being present for questioning. Palmer sought to remind these mayors of their constitutional oath to uphold federal laws under the Supremacy Clause.
Then under the Supremacy Clause, you understand that the laws of the United States take precedent over the laws of Colorado, over the laws of Illinois, over the laws of Massachusetts, and your cities. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir, I do.
But when you declared your cities sanctuary cities, you did so illegally. You have violated your oath of office. You've committed a crime. Mr. Chairman, I don't understand why we haven't been discussing obstruction of justice. I mean, get real about this. We have a problem.
I'll be back with more Alabama stories after this.
Brian Dawson here, CEO of 1819 News. I'm also the host of 1819 News, the podcast, and we'd love for you to join us by listening to our weekly show on all the top podcast apps, both in audio and video format. At 1819 News, the podcast, we are in pursuit of a free and flourishing Alabama. Every week, we're having important conversations with guests from across this great state, all with the goal of equipping Alabamians to be in pursuit of a free and flourishing Alabama with us. New episodes are released weekly. I hope you'll join us.
2 people are under arrest in Morgan County after deputies seized 46 grams of fentanyl in a home where a child was also present. The search warrant was conducted in Decatur. The child has now been placed in a family member's home. 23-year-old Joshua Ledlow and 23-year-old Caitlin Reedy are now facing drug and child endangerment charges. I'm Andrea Tice.
For more news affecting Alabamians, go to 1819news.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the daily newsletter.
We have that time of year where storms roll through, and a lot of times we're seeing a lot of power outages, in which we do install whole home generators.
We can keep your power on, absolutely. Generac generators.
Peace of mind knowing you always got standby power. About 30 seconds where you don't have power, those generators kick back on like nothing ever happened. When storms roll in, sometimes the lights go out. But here at Mr. Electric, we'll never leave you in the dark.
Mr. Electric, power to make things better.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's News and Views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
After damning politicians uphill and down dale for many years as rogues, vagabonds, frauds, and scoundrels, I sometimes suspected, like everyone else, I often expect too much of them.
How you conduct yourself in a democracy?
Joey Clark.
Welcome into the program. So much to get to today. Truly, so much to get to today. If you're a fan of DOGE, if you're a fan of the work DOGE is doing, if you're a little disappointed in the Supreme Court of the United States after they said DOGE must spend all that USAID money, you need to look up the word, if you haven't seen it already, rescission. Rescission is the word. We will get to that in a second. And to that, I also say thank you, Senator Rand Paul, for putting that idea in the ear of Mr. Musk. Also, a massive new study out of the University of Texas showing that transgender surgeries actually increase the risk of suicide. 108,000 trans patients are involved in this study. So it is all based on a lie. And it didn't help. Pretty messed up. We'll get into the details of that. Trump is targeting the Department of Education, about to sign an executive order essentially commanding Linda McMahon, that McMahon, of starting to dismantle the department. Of course, that will only be temporary. Some certain functions will be moved to the Treasury Department, but it will only be temporary unless Congress gets involved. Emmanuel Macron over there in France is urging Europe to prepare for defense without the U.S. backing them in a certain way. Trump has revoked a policy for Ukrainian refugee status. In the United States House of Representatives, Representative Al Green was censured. Only 10 Democrats joined in and voted yes, as the rest of the Democrats stood on the well of the House and saying, "We shall overcome." We'll see. The way y'all are going, I don't know. Trump also puts out a very over-the-top message to Hamas, and it begins with Shalom Hamas, which either means hello or goodbye. You better decide what you want to do with these hostages. We're tired of it. And coming back full circle, maybe we don't need rescission. Jonathan Turley has a great op-ed out. Jonathan Turley, great legal scholar and lawyer, constitutional lawyer himself, says there's still hope for the Supreme Court to rule in Trump's favor in the USAID case. So maybe that's not all said and done. Moving here to Alabama, and in particular to Goat Hill, it looks like the House is going to tackle the controversial Veterans Board bill today. It seems, and we got a little bit of a preview of this with House Minority Leader Anthony Daniels on Tuesday, saying that, no, they're going to defend their right to filibuster and to be heard in the minority, even if they don't have the votes to always get what they want. And apparently that is exactly what's been going on in the Alabama State House. On the House side, a lot of Democratic state reps raising Cain, not the general, but you know what I mean, raising Cain at the podium and quite upset, addressing the speaker, Ledbetter, directly to his face. And maybe because of this holdup and this big fight put on by Democrats, you won't see this Veterans Board bill tackled until later in the day. My understanding is they didn't have the votes. Maybe now that it's been brought to the floor, maybe they found the votes magically all of a sudden. It could be some deal was made. We shall see. And of course, joining us now to cover some other Alabama stories, we have the one and only Erica Thomas, editor at large there at 1819news.com. Erica, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. Just been enjoying seeing the tweets from all of the people at 1819 News that are covering this explosive interaction today. So that's been good. I can't wait to see Craig Monger's story on this in detail. It'll be on our website at 2:00 on 1819news.com. So definitely been a busy day for him.
I know you cover other parts of the state, and I think honestly, you've got the better gig than some of these folks that have to be at the State House all the time. But what do you make reading your colleagues' reporting of, in particular, this fight over the veterans bill? It just seems at this point quite a petty move by the governor and those pushing it in the legislature.
Yeah, that whole thing has been just every day there's something new coming out with that. But I just think this is par for the course. This is what happens. We always get these fiery interactions at some point during a session, usually more than one. And so it's going to be a long day for them today. I just know in the House, we got to watch and see why these people are doing what they're doing. What is the motive behind all this, especially with Ledbetter? So, more to come. It's like watching a soap opera.
It really is, and I just want, at this point, I don't want it to pass. I think they're moving way too quickly for no really good reason, but we'll see. It depends on if they can whip up all the votes. I want to clear plenty of room here because I saw this story trending. It is very detailed. I know just in a conversation we might not be able to cover all the ins and outs of it, but it's a story that pulls at your heartstrings. The headline, folks, Erica wrote this up, is Theodore man left journal from his last days during COVID pandemic. Wife heads to D.C. to highlight tragedy of COVID protocols, hospital immunity. And so this is a couple from Theodore, Alabama, and I kind of want to hand over the floor to you, Erica, since you dove deep into putting this story together.
I did. I traveled to Theodore, and I met with Miss Janie Andrews. Her husband passed away in March of 2021 after being hospitalized for 20 days. Long story short, he did not test positive for COVID when he went into the hospital. He did have COPD. He did not test positive for COVID the day before he died. I've went through all the medical records that she has gathered, and you just wouldn't imagine the thousands of papers that she has and all the research that she's done. And the network's really nationwide of people having the same story that she did. The kicker here is that even though he tested negative for COVID, the hospital marked his death as a COVID death, and therefore they could not get an autopsy because at that time the protocol was they weren't going to do an autopsy. She even went to Florida to find a private medical examiner to do an autopsy, and he also refused to do that because at the time they were just so unsure about COVID and they didn't do autopsies. So she buried her husband not really knowing the cause of his death. She says she believes the hospital euthanized him based on the medical records and seeing what medications he was given in his last couple of days. And then the emotional part of it is he knew what was going on according to his journal. And there's photos of his entries. Just a couple of days before he died, he wrote, "I got a long ways to go, babe." He was very concerned that he wasn't going to ever go home. So all of that is in the story at 1819news.com, and if you see the trending column on the right side of our website from your browser, you'll see it in there. But it's a very sad story, and I will say she is not alone. Janie is not alone. She did go to Washington this week. She's still there speaking with Tommy Tuberville's team. She also got to speak directly with Katie Britt yesterday. She called me and updated me on that and said it was just very nice to finally be heard. But since I've posted this story, I have gotten dozens of emails from people all across the United States who have a very similar story.
And because of the hospital immunity, it seems like under current, say, the status quo of the law, there's not much that could be done here. This is why we need our senators and other elected officials to step in.
Right. Now, for COVID, there's probably nothing these victims will ever be able to do because of the immunities granted to the hospitals and the healthcare industry during that time, because it was a very unknown situation at that time. But going forward, these survivors and the victims' families, they want change to be done.
Well, I hope something can be done for these folks, because without going into detail, I have similar stuff in my family, and it's it's a shame, and it's knowing that you're not alone helps some, and it's heartening that people can commiserate, if there's not a better word for it. But you see this man knowing what he was going through, and you see his wife still trying to make sense of it, and so maybe her story will help lift up many who found themselves in a very similar situation.
Yeah, I think when you hear from people who this actually happened to, it brings it home. You can see the sadness in her face in the cover photo of this story. You can see just the emptiness that she's feeling. But at the same time, she's taken that and turning it into positive energy. She has to do something. She can't sit still. You really should see her kitchen table. It's just covered in binders and boxes of medical records. Because at the time that this was happening, we had hero doctors in our state standing up, taking major risk at losing their medical license, saying, this is wrong, this medication should not be used, these things are not adding up. And nobody was listening. Dr. Stuart Tankersley in Montgomery is one of those. And I've interviewed him several times about kind of what he saw at the beginning of the pandemic. He went into it with an open mind and quickly identified some serious issues, not only with COVID protocol, but also with the COVID vaccine. And he has just been a true hero on not only, is he an American hero as a veteran, but also a medical hero in Alabama. And he's still continuing his fight with concerned doctors. And it just seems like more people are actually listening now instead of saying, oh, these are just conspiracy theories, follow the science. Right. I mean, that's exactly what he was doing, was following the science.
Oh, yes.
but people in charge were not.
I know Dr. Tankersley well, and hearing his side of the story, he was one of the few who stuck his neck out there, and I think him and a lot of others who did that are being vindicated by the day we find out about whether it's protocols of the state or the hospitals, or you're talking about the vaccines or the virus itself and how it was affecting people. I think we're learning more and more by the day. It's maybe too late, but it's at least all right to learn. I kind of want to shift gears here, though, because 2026, you've already got people announcing all over the place here in the great state of Alabama, whether it's Andrew Sorrell announcing for Secretary of State, Wes Allen announcing to be running for Lieutenant Governor. You got Coach Tommy Tuberville, our great senator, flirting in public now with the idea of running for governor, with Will Ainsworth tweeting Wheaties boxes. Hey, Lieutenant Governor Ainsworth,
Right.
if his office is listening, you should have gone with the Wheaties box with Bruce Jenner on it. That would have been a really delicious, wonderful tweet. I think that would have been funnier and might have caught more folks' attention. But you just wrote up a profile on somebody who's announced to run for Ag Commissioner?
Yes, this is Christina Warner McGinnis, and she is from Baldwin County. She's a native from here. She founded Agritech Corp. They developed soil kits. She's won national awards for this soil kit. She's been active in the Alabama Republican Party events throughout the years. She just says she loves farming and agriculture, and as you know, I've covered several agriculture stories over the last few years, just highlighting some of the struggles that our farmers have. And she told me last night, she said, yeah, these things are really important. We really need to look into these things and help farmers. She comes from a long line of farmers. They own Warner Farms, which is headquartered in Foley. They, through generations have developed a lot of different aspects of this farm, but one of them is nationally known because they grew turf for the MLB and the NFL. They've even had their turf at a Super Bowl before. So they're well known around here and nationally acclaimed. But now Christina Warner McGinnis, she calls herself an entrepreneur, which she definitely is. She's a businesswoman. She's also a family woman. She has 4 children. Her and her husband are married, happily married, she said. And so she's well-rounded for sure. She's been around the Republican Party, and now she wants to throw her name in the hat for Ag Commissioner. So that will be interesting.
And Byron Sheehy's now joining us here in the studio. What's up, Byron?
What's up, Joey?
And,
Howdy, Byron.
What's up, Erica?
And what is Rick Pate going to do?
I thought he was term limited.
Is he term
He's
limited?
term limited, yeah.
Man, the time is flying by, but I still wonder what he's very popular. I wonder where he ends up.
What's Jack Williams going to do?
Yeah, he's a possibility, and so is Corey Hill, the mayor of Douglas and Marshall County. Those are some other names being thrown around. But now, Christina Warner had her photo made with Rick Pate just a couple of days ago, so he hasn't come out with a full endorsement of her, but I wouldn't be surprised if that happened.
Erica, any relation to the McInneses down in South Baldwin County?
Yeah, she is in South Baldwin County, but I have not, I'm not sure if they're actually related. Christina Warner McGinnis, she married into the McGinnis family. I think there might be a distant connection, but I haven't confirmed that.
Strong candidate.
Yeah.
I was kind of wondering the same thing because, the McGinnis, John McGinnis in South Baldwin County, he's owner of Coastal and a part owner of Floribama, and they're active in political realms in some ways. So
Yeah, I mean,
I was kind of wondering the same
if
thing.
those dots are connected, she's an extremely strong candidate. Baldwin County, well
I
financed.
think she's a strong candidate either way. I mean, she's just kind of been a part of this Republican Party for so long. She's at every event. I've seen her at several events.
It's just so early. It's just so early,
Yeah,
though.
but this lady, you can tell she's got dirt under her fingertips.
Yeah, well,
like,
and
she's not up
yeah.
here hanging out in Montgomery hobnobbing with, special interest.
And that's
cats.
what you want in an ag
Right.
commissioner.
Exactly.
Certainly. It's just, I don't know, all these announcements this early are catching me off guard. I'm so caught up in DOGE and the Ukraine war and the Hamas treatment of hostages and yada, 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 go on. And it's like Alabama's getting revving up to go for 26.
Got to create the next news story, man.
Yeah, I think you're onto something.
Well,
there.
and I think an interesting part of what she's done too is she's teamed up with Flowerwood Medical Cannabis that's based out of Loxley, and her family, they have a lot of land, and this Flowerwood Medical Cannabis place, they're a grower, processor, and they will be a seller of medical cannabis. So depending on where you fall on the spectrum of medical cannabis, she's already taken advantage of that by getting involved with that, because it's going to happen in Alabama, so she sees that opportunity.
I mean, I'm generally for freedom, and I just hate how long this Cannabis Commission's been tied up in court. I know they're doing kind of, they're trying to figure it out and all one fell swoop, and hopefully they do. But I'm wondering, I'm trying to think back to the bill. Is one of the possible ailments that you can get this stuff for, and again, it's not flour, it's not like you're smoking it, folks, or whatever. It's all sorts of very processed things. Is one of the ailments like bad TV and microwave food?
Should be.
Yeah, like I think I should be able to get a pill to be able to enjoy bad TV and microwave food.
What about just like morons in general?
Oh, yeah, I think
about morons.
Right. Reminds me of a Spaceballs scene.
Well, I think if you take that stuff at a certain age, you will become a moron. So you got to be careful with that.
That's
but,
true.
At the end of the day, adults that for me, my stance on that is I'm on the board of directors for the Norma Livingston Ovarian Cancer Foundation. I watched my grandmother die from ovarian cancer when I was only 16 years old, and I saw the opioids they were flowing into her body just to keep her comfortable. And if she would have had another option that may not have had the effect on her, like maybe medical cannabis, I believe that would have been a better choice.
Amen. I agree with you there. I certainly agree with you there. Well, I appreciate your time as always, Erica. Folks want to check out what you're writing about, thinking about, or maybe want to give you a lead for a story, want to reach out to you. How can they do so?
You can email us all at 1819news at news at 1819news.com. You can also go to 1819news.com and see all of our stories, and all of our email addresses are at the bottom of that. But definitely don't forget to check us out at 2 o'clock, because Craig's story from the House today is going to be fiery.
Yeah, I think it's going to be quite something. Well, I appreciate it as always, Erica.
Thank you. God bless.
God bless. Again, folks, it's Erica Thomas, editor-at-large at 1819news.com. Yeah, and Craig Monger is he's down there, along with Caleb Taylor, I believe. They're from 1819 News.
You think people are running from him?
I don't know. It's kind of hard to run from Craig. He's pretty fleet-footed.
He reminds me of the dude from like Terminator 2. You're just not getting away from him. He's going to keep coming.
Yeah, no, Craig, he doesn't, he's not easily deterred. I'll put it that way. And so I found it. He put out on his Twitter 2 hours ago. This was what was happening on the floor of the State House. And again, Anthony Daniels told us on Tuesday, because I was bringing up Bobby Singleton. Mm-hmm. You were here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he essentially was diplomatic about it, but he's like, we're going to fight for our ability to speak. Like, he did not like the idea of how much they've been limited by Ledbetter in the House.
You're not going to silence us. Our constituents are going to hear, their voices and values being expressed on the floor. So
here's the clip. If you want to watch with us, Joey Clark Live on YouTube, or you can just watch Joey Clark on Facebook, the News Talk 93.1 FM Facebook page, or of course at the Joey Clark on the X platform. But here, let's tune in together, Byron.
Super minority, and we have a right to be heard. We're still in a democracy, aren't we? The minority have rights anymore. I'm speaking, I'm asking questions.
You need to talk about the bill. You need to talk about the bill.
No, sir. Let's speak up. I didn't raise my mic to talk about the bill. I raised my mic to talk about the calendar. That's what my light was on for.
And you can actually see there, who is that at the microphone?
What is he said to talk about the bill, but to talk about what? My microphone's raised to talk about
the bill here.
I thought he said something else after that.
It's hard to tell, but that's Thomas Jackson, State Rep Thomas Jackson's at the mic. But you can see on the right side of the screen, you can see Anthony Daniels, and you listen, focus more your ears on what he's saying.
I raised my light to talk about the calendar.
About the gambling, is what he said?
Well, I was distracted. You told me to focus on. So then I just
curveball.
All I saw was it's totally. So
okay, let's hear it.
That's what
Total
my
disrespect.
light was on for. And I'm not putting up. To talk about
Woo!
the calendar.
The calendar.
The calendar.
I think he said the calendar.
Okay.
There's many bills on the calendar. I want to talk about all the calendars, the bill on the calendars. What has happened here and what's going on? I'm glad we got some people up there. Look, this is democracy in a bad way here.
Question though.
Mm.
Didn't we have a show about 2 weeks ago where we thought it was just so funny how the Republicans would just let the Democrats stand up and filibuster for hours on end?
Yeah.
So what's kind of changed here?
What do you mean?
Well, why was it cool, 2 weeks ago, but now, now it's...
Well, that's the Senate side. The Senate side, they still pretty much let them filibuster, in particular, Smitherman and Singleton. On the House recently...
I'm getting to a point, though.
Yeah.
All right. You have the Senate taking up the Senate bills and the House taking up the House bills, right?
Mm-hmm.
At some point, there's going to have to be some sort of crossover, and you're going to have to start taking up the other chambers' bills. And if there's not a adequate flow of things being addressed, then, certain things aren't going to be handled by the other chamber.
True.
Is a kill technique. So I don't know if the old gentlemen are just smart enough because they've done this 40 years and know what's going to happen the last couple of days of the session or what. But it's interesting.
No, and it's interesting because this hasn't been going on enough in Alabama media. I hope we get more of this going forward. This session and sessions to come is actually see them on the floor saying what they're saying. Let's keep going with this a little more.
Being taken advantage of on the minority side because there's the majority is supermajority. And we had our lights on to talk on the calendar. And we was ignored. And you know that's not right, Mr. Speaker. You know that.
Looking right at Ledbetter saying that.
I voted for you to be speaker. But I did because I like you as a person. You've shown yourself to be worthy. But this morning, you're not doing that. You neglected my life in many days since you've been speaker. And it's only fair that we get to speak. We represent the same number of constituents that you do. And we had the right to speak before the calendar was adopted. And you didn't honor that right for us.
Yep, they changed the rules there. So maybe it gets worse, to your point, on the Senate side if they actually are cracking down on time there on the House side. And early in that clip, you see Anthony Daniels, the Minority Leader Daniels, saying, "This disrespectful. I'm tired of being disrespected."
And the House bill that was up was 202?
I think it's they're stuck on the calendar and
right, but he wanted to speak before the calendar.
Okay,
but they wanted to adopt the calendar and get to the business, right? So it seems like they're trying to slow down the actual calendar.
Parliamentary trickery. We'll see what comes of it.
Mr. Roberts rolling over in his grave.
A lot of veterans, a lot of folks concerned with this overhaul of the Veterans Board are paying attention today.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're out there listening, that might not happen because of this sort of stuff going on until 5, 6 o'clock. Who knows? Maybe they get some agreement and it's voted on earlier. Who knows?
When does the public generally go home?
Like about 5.
So if you were going to handle some heavier bills, you might wait a little bit.
You might wait a little bit, but also that's when everybody's driving and listening to radio airwaves.
Yeah, sure.
So we'll see. I got to hit a break here. And there's a lot going on, like I said at the top of the show, beyond the happenings in Alabama politics, whether it's the Russia-Ukraine war, the latest in that, and Trump and Rubio and team trying to put together actual peace, or Michael Saylor, the guy who's probably the biggest Bitcoin bull in the world. He owns something like 2.5% or something of the supply of Bitcoin. His company, MicroStrategy's, worth now tens of billions of dollars, where it was only worth $250 million a few years back. We also have, well, the word rescission. We go from state-like politics to federal politics. If DOGE is really going to be held up in the courts, like they're finding all this ways Trump talks about in the State of the Union, every Republican in the federal level I know is running towards it. Even Lindsey Graham, even the folks you might be thinking about bringing home the bacon, all this stuff. No, everybody seems to be on board, and yet the courts continue to keep blocking this. So what's the solution? The word is rescission.
Explain.
I will after the break.
Ooh.
But first, this part of the program brought to you by Pest Pro Services. And there at Pest Pro, termite season is upon us. And they are helping you get prepared at Pest Pro Services for what you need to do with all those termites rolling out. If you go to their Facebook page right now, just type in Pest Pro Services there in the Book of Faces. Ashley, the wonderful owner there, she runs a great shop. It's great seeing it was her and like a couple other people when it first started. It's now a growing, booming business. She's laying out a few tips when it comes to preparing for termites and making sure that this is not a problem you have to visit in a much more expensive way later. It's always great to get ahead of it. Again, this week is Termite Awareness Week. Termites are silent destroyers, causing over $5 billion in damages annually. So they're going to continue to share essential information. Just go to that Facebook page if you want to watch it yourself. Or you might as well just call them up. Be like, hey, I heard Joey Clark talking about on the radio. I want to get ahead of these termites before they silently destroy anything on my property. That number is 265-9990. That's 265-9990. When you want to know, call a pro. Pest Pro Services, and be sure to tell them that Joey, that fellow on the radio, sent you.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Adams Drugs has been committed to the healthcare of the people of the River region for over 62 years. We value the trust each customer has in our pharmacists, techs, and entire staff. If you have not experienced the difference of Adams Drugs and are not satisfied with the customer service that you get in the big box stores, we invite you to visit any of our locations and see how committed we are to your satisfaction. Adams Drugs offers a variety of services that you will not find in all pharmacies in the River region. Personalized compounding, area-wide delivery, wellness screenings, immunizations, medication consultations, and specialized packaging, just to name a few. Visit us at our website, adamsdrugs.net, and find the location nearest you. Adams Drugs has 12 convenient locations to serve you. Your satisfaction is our #1 goal. Adams Drugs is your local Health Mart pharmacy. Health Mart, taking the time to listen and care.
This is your roving reporter, and today I am talking with an elk. Hey man, Mr. Elk, I was just wondering, what do elk do to take care of their money? Well, like most smart folks, we call David Erdit. You mean Alabama's most favorite asset preservationist? That's him, man. We call him up at 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. I see. Yes, he is our preferred money man. The money man with the money plan. You've been paying attention. Well, could you give us those numbers one more time? 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. And I just want to try to give you a heads up, man. Oh, what's that? I'm not an elk. Not an elk, huh? Well, then, pray tell, what are you? Knights of Columbus. I am not even going to make a comment. Well, the baby liked it.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians,
1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com.
Rich Thomas Weather is brought to you by MPM Feed and Seed. It's time to get those gardens ready. From seeds to plants to fertilizer, MPM has what you need. Shop MPM Feed and Seed in Prattville, 1313 Highway 31 North. Open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, Saturdays, 8 to 1.
Well, hi, everybody. We've taken a step backward with cooler temperatures, but not for too long. Today, unusually cool for this late in the season with a high in the upper 50s. Lots of sunshine. The breeze will make it seem cooler than it is. Partly cloudy, chilly tonight. Overnight low temperature down to about 38. Tomorrow, I think we recover into the low 70s. And a good bit of sunshine on Friday. Saturday's a little warmer at 74 with risk of scattered showers by Saturday afternoon. Showers and thunderstorms becoming likely on Saturday night. And then dry Sunday, but breezy and much cooler. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
You can make your ASC loan payments from your phone anytime, anywhere. It's quick and easy. www.yourasccu.com. Federally insured by NCUA.
Trustworthy, accurate, immediate. Carrying your voice across the river region. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Now, I left my good friend here in the studio, Byron Sheehy, hanging a little bit. You were asking about, well, what is rescission? Rescission. Well, can I back up and do a running jump here?
Will you use it in a sentence, please?
Well, let me just tell the story.
Let
me just tell the story.
That was your avenue to tell your story.
Yeah. Senator Rand Paul, no newcomer to pointing out silly ways that the federal government wastes taxpayer dollars. He does that whole like Festivus thing every year and points out all this waste. Like the time the National Institutes of Health spent over $300,000 to study whether quails got more frisky after being fed cocaine. Which has been a staple of his speeches ever since he found that out. $300,000 to study whether quails become like switched on if they're given cocaine.
Did the control group have R&B music or not?
So he's pretty thrilled to see the executive branch focus on cutting wasteful spending. So here's a quote. He told Reason magazine yesterday, "We've been pointing this out for a decade, but now we finally have an administration that's interested in it. They're canceling contracts, locking doors, firing people. There really is this disrupting force. That's good." Nearly a month after President Trump returned to office and unleashed Elon Musk's DOGE on the administrative state, Paul says DOGE is doing a great job, and he's looking forward to making some of those changes permanent. But doing that will require a few additional steps. Quoting Paul, "If we want to have real savings, they're going to have to send this back to Congress, and Congress is going to have to approve of spending less money." During a weekly meeting of Republican senators earlier on Wednesday, or is that Wednesday? I'm sorry, I forget sometimes. Paul encouraged Vice President J.D. Vance to have the Trump administration draw up a rescission package, a special type of bill that formally withdraws spending Congress has previously authorized. That would allow Congress to make the DOGE spending cuts stick. Even better, a rescission bill can pass the Senate with a simple majority. And Paul believes there would be enough support, even though a similar maneuver failed during the first Trump administration. Thank you, Susan Collins. But Paul says, "I'd love to see a $500 billion rescission package. The Republicans right now in the Senate are actually agitating to increase spending. I'd rather be voting on a bill to reduce spending than increase it. A vote on a rescission bill would solve some of the legal and procedural questions about DOGE's spending cuts. Under the terms of the Congressional Budget Control and Impoundment Act of 1974, which undergirds the entire modern federal budgetary process, presidents are not allowed to simply refuse to spend money that Congress has appropriated. Russ Vought, the White House budget director, believes that law is unconstitutional and is seeking to challenge the limits it places on presidential control over spending. That potentially messy fight could be avoided if Congress gives its approval to rescind the spending DOGE wants to cut. Meanwhile, Paul shrugged off another criticism of DOGE efforts so far, that trimming a few billion from the federal budget is insignificant in the face of a nearly $7 trillion federal budget. And Paul, I agree here. No, it is that disrupting force. It is actually their teeth in this tiger of a president and his executive orders. So I believe the way it works is the president, like say DOGE has already found all this stuff. And the president can put forward, I believe, what's called a budget authority procedure. And then the Senate only needs 51 votes to rescind that money.
No, I mean,
it's beautiful.
I get it.
It's beautiful.
I think it's fascinating that, there's some sort of legal argument that, well, Congress appropriates it, so can the executive, curb it. What I'd love to see as an end around is like, you know what? Maybe we can't technically cut it, but what we can do is just not deliver or administer it. So let's just give it back to Congress and let Congress give it back to the people.
Well, and apparently Musk was, quote unquote, elated to hear this idea that this is real. Senators Paul's the one who put it forward, but Josh Hawley, even more populist Hawley, Lindsey Graham, of all people. Man, Lindsey has found a new religion, political religion, since the whole fallout with Zelensky. But I love it. The weather vane's pointing in the right direction.
You think he changed his color of rouge to match his new demeanor?
He is looking a little more cherubic these days.
I'm a little more serious. I'm going to be something a little earthier.
I'm a sad clown now. Yeah, right. Let's go to Soldier Boy. Hey, Soldier Boy, how you doing?
Boy, you're making me laugh too hard, guys, today.
Oh, good.
First part was when you played at the state legislature, the live recording.
Mm-hmm.
I was waiting for the ghost of Alvin Holmes to come home down.
No, nobody's Alvin Holmes. You never those cars don't pass you every day.
Well, he kept saying, "Is anybody listening to me?" And I was waiting for Alvin. I said, "What's wrong with American beer?"
That man is in an echelon all his own.
Yeah, especially that moment when he called out all the people wanting to impeach Bentley for moral turpitude. Mm-hmm. Oh, that was one of the better moments in politics.
I love that interview he did on ASU radio one time. He says, "If a man wants to have sex with a little donkey."
No, he didn't have sex. He said, "If a man wants to marry a little mule."
Yeah, and that's okay. That's between the mule, donkey. No, he called him a donkey. He said, "That's between the donkey and the man." And that's two consenting individuals. I'm like, holy crap, this man's a nut. And then he came with his beer, American beer. Oh, my God. And then I love it when, was it Bentley that had the affair with his wife? And he said, you all got that. He said, I don't know why y'all so hard on him. He says, what does he say, quote? He goes, I know half of y'all cheating on your wives and cheating on your husbands. Don't make me drop some names.
Well, at one point he goes, I see you ducking out the back. No, I don't think anybody's risen to the mantle of Alvin Holmes. That guy was, he was so good.
If anybody should get a trophy and put it in Montgomery, that should be Alvin. I mean, oh, my God. Let me ask you, who's your partner today?
Byron Sheehy.
Brian.
What's up, Soldier?
Byron.
Let me ask Byron. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Byron, did you ever get to meet or see Alvin Holmes personally?
I've met him in passing, but never actually sat down and shot the breeze with him.
Oh man, I bet you missed that opportunity, don't you? Oh God, I think you would have died. I couldn't keep a straight face. I try to be professional.
I definitely hope it would be after hours over cocktails.
Yeah, I have some American beer. What's wrong with American beer?
Nothing foreign and micro, no doubt.
He said, I love it about the Bentley. He says, he said, I know half of y'all cheating. He said, don't make me, like he had a book or something, Don't make me don't make me go and drop some names. I was like, oh God, this is good.
Well, I appreciate the call, Soldier Boy.
All right, have a good day.
You too. And for folks who don't know that clip, especially if you're just tuning in online, we seem to have hit the algorithm correct today.
Those people deserve.
Yeah, if y'all don't know Alabama politics, this man, rest in peace. But he was, he was something special. And this was when they were trying to bring craft beer to Alabama. Let's listen in.
Sheriff Bass is Mr. Holmes of Montgomery.
Yeah, what's wrong with the beer we got? I mean, the beer we got drank pretty good, don't it? I ain't never heard nobody complain about the beer we have. It drank pretty good. Budweiser. What's the name of some of them other beers? Budweiser and what else? Miller. Coors. It drank pretty good, don't it? Mr. Jackson, who asked you to sponsor this beer? The Free the Hops Foundation.
The best part.
Yeah, what kind of foundation is that? These are young people from I would use the term from Germany that came in with Mercedes. From Germany?
Oh, no, if somebody understands that now there are plenty of reporters who are actually going to put videos of what y'all are saying out there, maybe we'll get a show. Like an actual show. They understand now. Like,
He stopped himself. He left it. Where are they from? Germany? Well, I'm just not going to touch it.
Germany?
Let's let that dog lie.
Oh, goodness gracious. 272-9228. That's 334-272-9228. I think I have time to report this one. And we'll get into the whole Ukraine-Russia war because, you know, a young woman called in who said she's more progressive and her grandfather or something like that was had served and was a great Cold Warrior, and like that doesn't make sense. Why are we allying with the Russians? And I was trying to get into the history of it. Well, coming up in the next hour, I'll probably play a clip from Professor Jeffrey Sachs when he was at the European Parliament, and he sort of lays out the history. And it's not just like, oh, he read about it; like he was there. He went to Kiev right after the Maidan coup, right after the overthrow. So he is there. He kind of understands by being in the room what actually happened and what was the cause of the problem from 2014 leading up to the full-on invasion in 2022. But before we get to that, we'll need plenty of running room in the next hour. This was put out, I believe, yesterday in the afternoon by President Trump on Truth Social. Shalom Hamas. Shalom Hamas means hello and goodbye. You can choose. Release all of the hostages now, not later, and immediately return all of the dead bodies of the people you murdered, or it is over for you. Only sick and twisted people keep bodies, and you are sick and twisted. I am sending Israel everything it needs to finish the job. Not a single Hamas member will be safe if you don't do as I say. I have just met with your former hostages, whose lives you have destroyed. This is your last warning. For the leadership, now is the time to leave Gaza while you still have a chance. Also to the people of Gaza, a beautiful future awaits, but not if you hold hostages. If you do, you are dead. Make a smart decision. Release the hostages now or there will be hell to pay later. Again, that last part was in all caps. And then in all caps again, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. Woo! All right, then. And he has been sending the big bombs to Israel, clearly as a signal, before even this message was sent out. So we'll see what happens there.
I'm still amazed that more of the Democrats in D.C. aren't lining up behind the president on this. Some of the Democrats are claiming that his attention and efforts in Gaza is because that he wants to build casinos, I believe, over there, or something to that effect. Boy, yeah. What world are you living on?
I know they're on a different planet. They really are. I think Trump wants the Arab League to essentially build it. And honestly, I think a lot of the young, say, royalty that run those countries, like think about like how many events now Dubai has hosted. Like all these places have been modernized. They're very well run. They don't want war. They don't like the extremist elements. And so I think the idea is scare the crap out of people to get the Arab League, and especially the rich Gulf Arabs who are already playing ball with the Abraham Accords, to come in and essentially run the country, rebuild the country. And this helps solve a lot of problems.
Oh, I mean, 100%. I mean, like, I guess my point was, if you got a bunch of people running around cutting heads off with swords and taking hostages and acting like barbarians, you're not going to advance very much.
No, not at all. You're really not. Hey, this part of the program brought to you by Josh and Leslie Ryder there at Dillon Rings. And, you know, I often point out that Josh Ryder is a true artist. Like, the man is amazing at how he can craft jewelry from whole cloth. Sometimes it's just a dream you had. It's just an idea you have, and he can make that a reality. He can also combine different types of jewelry. But the best work, I think, the best art is the one from the heart, the most personal. And I'm looking at Facebook. I shared this on my Facebook, folks. Josh writes, I recently was asked to make an engagement ring for my daughter, Harley Nicole, by her fiance, Brennan Arnett. And she said yes. He used the diamond I bought when I asked Leslie to marry me 30 years ago. I set that family diamond in a new setting for a new chapter. Josh asked, what can we make for you? And I'm seeing the photos and just, oh my, and I'm seeing the photo of the, I mean, it's adorable seeing him down on one knee, all this stuff, but I'm seeing a close-up of the ring. My goodness, that is beautiful. Beautiful work, Josh. Folks, if you want this sort of artistry, this sort of touch, and he makes stuff from the heart, get by Dylan Rings. It's 119 Brown Springs Road here in Montgomery. It's just off of Atlanta Highway, sort of the back end entrance to the AUM complex off of Atlanta Highway, where the old fun zone used to be. And be sure to tell Josh and Leslie when you stop by that Joey, Byron, those fellas on the radio, sent you.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings, 6 till 9, and afternoons, 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
Hi, this is Bo Goodson with the Goodson Group with your Real Estate Minute. My last message was the report for 2024 real estate market in the River region. According to industry experts, they predict for 2025, we will have more inventory to choose from for our buyers, more buyers for sellers to show their houses to. Here are 5 tips for buyers or sellers in 2025. Number 1, sellers need to price their home at fair market value with the help of your realtor. Number 2, buyers need to be pre-qualified by a local lender prior to shopping for a house to save them time. Number 3, use a certified residential specialist or CRS to purchase or sell your home. Less than 2% of realtors nationwide have this designation. You need an expert now. 4, use someone with 48 years of real estate experience to help you with your largest investment. Number 5, quit waiting. Now's the time to buy or sell. Call Bo Goodson at 221-2883, the Goodson Group, or 551-0225.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-457-6060. That's 1-800-457-6060. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-457-6060. That's 1-800-457-6060.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
We all want access to care and coverage we need to stay healthy, but Farm Bureau health plans aren't the answer. They are unregulated and unreliable when it comes to covering you and your family. If you have cancer or another pre-existing condition, well, you'd be out of luck. Alabama deserves better than empty promises. Call your state legislator now and tell them to vote no on Farm Bureau health plans. Visit fightcancer.org/Alabama. It's time for real health insurance.
Paid for by the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network.
Headlines the mainstream media won't touch. Your News Talk station. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Short segment here, and then we'll hit another top of the hour break. But there really is so much happening all at once, whether we're talking state, local, or national. Did you see that Representative Al Green was censured?
Heard.
Yeah, he was censured. 10 Democrats joined in.
Good.
So 10, but the rest of them decided to fill up the well of the House floor So they're like not all seated. They're right up on the chair, and Mike Johnson's having to gavel this and gavel that. And it's like, oh, well, here's a little bit of that scene.
On this vote, the yeas are 224. The nays are 198, with 2 answering present. The resolution is adopted. Without objection, a motion to reconsider is laid on the table. The House will come to order. The House will come to order. Shh.
Ooh.
Will Representative Green present himself to the well?
He's walking up right now.
By its adoption of House Resolution 189, the House has resolved that Representative Al Green be censured, that Representative Al Green forthwith present himself in the well of the House of Representatives for the pronouncement of censure, and that Representative Al Green be censured with public reading of this resolution by the Speaker.
Now a lot of the Democrats on the floor, being led by Al Green, are singing, "We shall overcome."
I was thinking it was a traditional Al
The House
Green
will come to
song.
order. The House will come to order.
You thought what?
I thought it was a real Al Green song.
Oh, no. Oh, goodness gracious. So, some theater going on there. But, yeah, I'd never seen somebody actually kicked out of a joint session of Congress like that. So I'm not
He
surprised the
deserved
censure
it.
came as well. Yeah, he did. Like, he even had the opportunity after standing up to sit back down and not do that, but he just persisted.
I'm sorry, man. I don't care if I ever get elected to the PTA. They start talking about we need people to march up and show unity. I'm not your dude. Like, if you do something that you need to be reprimanded for, I'm not going to stand up there and, try to excuse your behavior.
But we are living in a different world where decorum seems to be breaking down. And honestly, I don't mind it. I think a lot of the decorum was a means of control. I'm not saying you don't consider people as people and respect the basic person you're talking to. That basic understanding of dignity should not be thrown out the window. But the sort of politeness, fake politeness that reigned for so long, I am not sorry to see that go at all.
Authenticity.
Yeah.
I don't care how you feel. Just tell me. Let it be honest.
We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusana, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. Applications for U.S. jobless benefits fell last week as the labor market remained sturdy ahead of an expected purge of federal government employees. The number of Americans filing for jobless benefits fell by 21,000 to 221,000. For the week ending March 1st, according to the Labor Department. President Trump will postpone the 25% tariffs on most goods from Mexico for a month. That's after a conversation with Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum. The announcement comes after his Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said the tariffs on both Canada and Mexico would likely be delayed. Pope Francis is awake and resting. That's after a peaceful night during his third week of hospital treatment for double pneumonia. On Wall Street, stocks remain lower, the Dow dropping 493 points, the Nasdaq off 448. This is SRN News.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. I've been thinking, why does it feel like losing weight is harder than ever before? With mixed messages, fad diets, the quick fix injections, even magic coffee. I mean, it's overwhelming. Most people are exhausted trying to fight a battle they cannot win. If you feel this way, trust me, you're not alone. I used to feel that way too. But let me tell you, it's not your fault. Your body is working against you, and the longer you wait, the harder it gets. Do what I did. I called PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition 3 years ago. I lost 53 pounds. I feel terrific, and I've kept the weight off. Make the phone call that can change your life the way it has changed mine. They won't let you fail. Call 855-696-2020. That's 855-696-2020 to schedule your consultation. The first 11 callers who mention the word healthy will get 2 free weeks added to their weight loss package. Call now, 855-696-2020. Mention the keyword healthy to get 2 free weeks. Or visit them at myphdweightloss.com, myphdweightloss.com.
The Rich Thomas Weather Network, brought to you by Montgomery Paint and Body. From little fender benders to
to total battery repair, MPB will fix it good as new, maybe better. For 4 decades, the Turner family has been getting you back on the road. Call 279-7325.
Well, hi, everybody. We've taken a step backward with cooler temperatures, but not for too long. Today, unusually cool for this late in the season with a high in the upper 50s. Lots of sunshine. The breeze will make it seem cooler than it is. Partly cloudy, chilly tonight. Overnight low temperature down to about 38. Tomorrow, I think we recover into the low 70s. And a good bit of sunshine on Friday. Saturday's a little warmer at 74 with risk of scattered showers by Saturday afternoon. Showers and thunderstorms becoming likely on Saturday night. And then dry Sunday, but breezy and much cooler. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Budget Floors and More is your low price leader for everything you need for flooring and DIY flooring installation supplies. For the best prices on luxury vinyl plank, carpet, ceramic tile, flooring installation supplies, and more, shop Budget Floors and More, Hunter Lane across from Del Rey to Publix.
From the Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, these are today's top stories. Senator Tommy Tuberville told reporters on Wednesday he is considering running for governor of Alabama in 2026. Tuberville remarked he hasn't made any decisions yet, but he has spoken to donors and family about a possible run. Senator Tuberville added, in the meantime, he is enjoying working closely with the Trump administration. Nearly 4 months after a mass shooting on the campus of Tuskegee University, officials announced safety improvements have been completed. The school has installed badge-activated automatic entry at 3 gates and made other security adjustments as well. Tuskegee University first announced changes to its campus security procedures 1 day after the deadly November 2024 mass shooting. The Alabama Forestry Commission set a new record for wildfire responses on Tuesday. Fierce winds combined with low humidity set the stage for a record-shattering 181 wildfire responses in a single day. Tuesday's fires burned an estimated 1,700 acres across Alabama. From the Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, I'm Sky Mosley.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
This is James Jones with Jones Drugs. We've got locations in Prattville, Millbrook, Greenville, and Montgomery, and soon to be Phoenix City. My dad told me once if I wanted the whole world to know anything, to tell my aunt. Well, I don't have my aunt here, but I've got the next best thing, Blue Water Broadcasting. They have helped us grow the Jones Drug family in this area for over 10 years. Thank you, Blue Water.
Did you know that radio is the #1 reach platform in all of media? It's true. Call us to find out how to put radio's #1 reach to work for your business. Blue Water Broadcasting. Local folks helping local business.
Since 1966, Alabama Sheriff's Youth Ranches has been more than just a place to stay. It's been a place to belong. For children facing hardships through no fault of their own, our ranches provide more than shelter. We offer a warm home, a loving family, and a future filled with hope. With open arms, we welcome these young hearts, giving them the love, structure, and guidance they need to heal, grow, and thrive in a warm Christian environment. Together, we can give Alabama's children the chance they deserve, a chance to dream, to succeed, and to feel truly cherished. Every donation stays within Alabama, directly impacting the lives of the children who need it most. Join us in making a difference. Visit alabamasheriffsyouthranches.org. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and download our app from your app store. We'd be honored to have you as a part of our mission to lift up Alabama's youth. And remember this, it's easier to build boys and girls than to repair men and women.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's news and views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Before we get into our, let's say, international relations history lesson, we have a great local business we want to spotlight here. We have Pam Champion. She's the office manager there with Davis Door and Sash. Pam, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Great to see you. And, well, let's just, before we get into all the details, kind of the 101 of Davis Door and Sash.
Well, Ronald Davis bought it about 9 years ago. It was Bama Door and Sash forever. Most people in this area, for the past 20 years know of Bama Door and Sash. So we've had it for about 9 years, and we relocated off of the Northern Bypass and putting in doors and windows.
And there are so many different products and services y'all offer. It really is impressive, though. I feel like y'all have that small business energy, like everybody working together as sort of a business family. But what y'all are able to provide is pretty incredible. I'm just looking at the website, folks. You can always go to Davis Door and Sash Alabama, all spelled out, .com, Davis Door and Sash Alabama.com, and you can see all this for yourself.
Right. We're a small local company. We do big jobs, though, and we'll do from one window replacement, one door replacement. We'll do your whole house of windows, exterior doors, interior doors, attic stairs, columns.
There you go.
We'll try and do it all.
Well, and like new construction. So if somebody's building here,
Correct.
like the whole home.
Now, we're not going to build a home, but,
Fair enough.
but we get a lot of plans where we'll do the takeoff for all the new construction windows and doors. We just find out what grade, what level of window you want, and we'll get you quoted, and we'll get them to you.
Well, and I know sometimes like a brand new front door or some of these doors, folks might be like, that's expensive, but y'all have financing options, right?
We have finance, so we finance through Alabama Power Smart Finance. We also have another finance company. It's Wise Tac. And it's been pretty successful. And even if you're not an Alabama Power customer, you can still get financed through Alabama Power Smart Finance.
Well, and on the website, folks, again, that's Davis Door and SashAlabama.com. You can see a lot of before and after. So I see the whole team that works there. And I love that it's a long-term experienced staff, 37 plus years.
Yes.
I think that goes a long way. It's not y'all's first rodeo. And there's one section here, I'm looking at the before and after, and you can just see the transformation. It's like if you're front facing on a home, like fresh windows, fresh front door, that can make all the difference.
It can make all the difference. And there's also a tax incentive. If you replace your doors and windows with energy efficient glass, you can get a tax credit on that for next year. You'll see almost immediately the savings in your power and gas bill by getting the argon gas filled low E windows and doors.
And it seems like y'all have an immense selection. So it would begin with, how does the process work? Like, so somebody calls y'all up or gets in touch with y'all and y'all go visit and sort of present them all the options for their problem.
Correct. So a lady called in earlier that she needs a new front door with side lights and a transom above it. So I get a little information to find out exactly what she has, what she wants. Our salesman will give her a call, go out there with a catalog, or if she already knows what she wants, then we don't. But we'll measure everything, come back, get it quoted, send her a proposal, and go from there.
Beautiful. And that number is 288-6010. That's 334-288-6010. And again, that's Davis Door and SashAlabama.com. But of course, y'all are on Facebook, and it looks like
we're on every social media platform.
Instagram, X, all of them.
Twitter, I think, all that.
And so, folks, it's kind of blown me away. I love like how much y'all have to offer. So it could be the big job. It could be the one window replacement.
Correct.
I'm going to sound like a dummy. I had no idea that there were this many different types of like windows that you could install in the house. And
I know, like Magnolia windows, Quaker windows, Sunrise windows. Like
We go from a builder grade to our top of the line MI Vanguard window, which is comparable with any other window on the market.
That's the one that holds all the AC in during the summer, right?
Well, most of the ones, they're argon gas filled. So that's what, and they're low E coating on the outside.
Okay, I'm just
So
making
that's
sure
what
it traps all
keeps
the
your
stuff
cool
in.
air in, or your heat in, and the sun out.
Yeah, it's been beautiful projects, folks. The craftsmanship here is just apparent from looking at these before and afters. And it looks like y'all also provide a lot of homeowner tips and ideas. So if it's not just the replacement they need or an initial install, some ideas like save energy, for instance.
Correct. And that is it's for saving energy. Back in the day, they had single pane windows. That was just a piece of glass. Now we can get double pane, triple pane, even quadruple pane glass with argon between each pane. We can get noise reduction glass. Some people want laminate glass. We have options to get all of that.
Beautiful. And, I know some of the folks that live up there on the lake, they can be a little competitive. And, you're facing the lake, people driving by on the lake. It's like you can really upgrade, again, with just brand new sets of windows, door. I mean, it really transforms the entire look of a home.
Correct. And we've just started doing, it's accordion type sliding glass door that actually folds back upon itself. So if you're at the lake and you open up to go on your patio and it faces the lake, you can actually just pull your doors back. I think they're called accordion. We've just really gotten into that, but they're really cool, and we can get those in the low E glass as well. And we've had quite a few inquiries about that.
That's the life, man. Pull those open, party at the lake, let everybody get out, game days.
Yeah. And even when they're shut, it's these huge, beautiful glass panes, so you can still see the view.
Correct.
Love it.
We can try something out at Eddie's place.
Yeah. Eddie, if you're out there listening, our usual sidekick Eddie Bader isn't here today.
We got a project.
So, well, Pam, I love this. I hope folks are checking y'all out like today. Do it right now, folks. Davis Door and Sash. You can always go to davisdoorandsashalabama.com. Call them up at 288-6010. That's 288-6010. And before I let you go, am I missing anything?
I wanted to say, if you mention this ad, we have a discount of 10% off materials from now until tax day, April 15th. So that's 10% off materials, and give us a call. We'll be glad to come out, give you a proposal, work with you. And
so they just need to mention, like, I heard y'all on the radio with Joey Clark.
Exactly. That's it.
Okay.
And if you're listening, service radius, it's the same, right? 7,500 miles, about the same.
Or a 75-mile range.
7,500.
75 or 800.
I was about to say, goodness gracious. Ooh. No, but the river region's the heart of where y'all service, but you'll go to, you said Clanton, Auburn,
We'll go to Clanton,
Selma.
we'll go to Selma, we go to Troy, Lake Martin.
Okay.
Everywhere.
Well, y'all check them out today. And mention that you heard Pam here on the radio with Joey Clark and get 10% off there on materials. That's a beautiful discount. Well, thank you, Pam. Great to meet you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
We'll be right back, folks.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
This is your roving reporter, and today I am talking with an elk. Hey man, Mr. Elk, I was just wondering, what do elk do to take care of their money? Well, like most smart folks, we call David Ernest. You mean Alabama's most favorite asset preservationist? That's him, man. We call him up at 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. I see. Yes, he is our preferred money man. The money man with the money plan. You've been paying attention. Well, could you give us those numbers one more time? 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. And I just want to try to give you a heads up, man. Oh, what's that? I'm not an elk. Not an elk, huh? Well, then, pray tell, what are you? Knights of Columbus. I am not even going to make a comment. Well, the baby liked it.
Are you tired of the mainstream media's biased reporting? Do you want to stay informed on the news that really matters to you? Look no further than 1819 News. At 1819 News, we bring you the latest in Alabama news, politics, sports, culture, and more. We've assembled a team of journalists with Alabama values dedicated to the truth and the truth alone. Visit us at 1819news.com today. That's 1819news.com. Subscribe to our newsletter. Honest News, Alabama Values.
We all want access to care and coverage we need to stay healthy, but Farm Bureau health plans aren't the answer. They are unregulated and unreliable when it comes to covering you and your family. If you have cancer or another pre-existing condition, well, you'd be out of luck. Alabama deserves better than empty promises. Call your state legislator now and tell them to vote no on Farm Bureau health plans. Visit fightcancer.org/Alabama. It's time for real health insurance.
Paid for by the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network.
Is your car looking tired, weary, and in desperate need of a makeover? Mr. Ben's Auto Spa on the Atlanta Highway has added a professional detail shop. Specialized techniques and products are used to get your vehicle back to showroom style. Hand washing, waxing, stain removal, odor removal, minor scratch removal, shampooing, and more. This is precision detailing perfected. Mr. Ben's Auto Spa, next to Fraser Church on the Atlanta Highway. Because your car deserves the royal treatment. Come by for a free estimate. Look like you've been to Mr. Ben's.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
We get Montgomery talking 24 hours a day. The River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Now, before we get to the serious geopolitical stuff, which is fascinating, if you want to hear a kind of a succinct summary of what happened, why is this war going on, that before Russia did the full invasion in 2022, which they did do, but it didn't just come out of the clear blue sky. This had been a problem festering, if anything, for decades. But before we get to that, let's do something a little more wholesome. This kid, the kid who's had 13 surgeries, brain cancer, DJ Daniel, he's been doing a media tour. And this is the clip that really cracked me up. It was on News Nation. And, well, I'll just play it without characterizing it too much more. Here you go, folks. Enjoy.
Yeah, you think your friends are going to be jealous?
Pretty much, and I'm pretty sure my girlfriend gonna be jealous. Cause she ain't gonna be. I say you can't. I'm gonna be like you. Gonna have to hit the road jacks because I'm a Secret Service now. I'm not. And if you touch me, you going to juvenile straight out. And I ain't gotta ask your parents for nothing. I'm sending you straight to jail.
I love this kid.
You give a man a little bit of power, and you see what happens.
I love it. Hit the road, Jack.
You go straight to jail.
I'm a Secret Service agent
Straight
now.
to jail.
Oh, what a great kid. And he was in the Oval Office yesterday, and he goes, President Trump, I have one more thing for you. And Trump's sitting down at the desk. Oh, what's that? And he goes, a big old hug. And, like, Trump pats him on the back. And it's just
I love this picture of the kid. I mean, he's in that right there is awesome.
Oh, and what an attitude.
Awesome.
To have that problem. All y'all know who've been listening to me for years, brain cancer is what took my mother. And just, it was tough enough seeing somebody taken too early in her 50s. I can't imagine getting that diagnosis as a child. I can't imagine it. And just to see, though, his attitude going through it, the fact that he was only given months to live, it's now several years later. It's a beautiful thing to behold.
To me, people, that's the truest humanity. Like, to have that brush with death and be fearless and just go live your life, man. That's beautiful.
Hit the road, Jack. I'm a Secret Service agent. Now you don't even need to touch me. Now, yesterday we had somebody call in kind of asking about the ins and outs of why this is happening. Why is the Trump administration pursuing the particular path of peace they're pursuing at this moment? And essentially my understanding is this 20, 30-year saga of NATO expanding closer to Russia, which gets really heated when the Russians draw a red line at the Munich Security Conference, that place J.D. Vance just spoke at. Putin essentially draws this red line. You're now also seeing the American leadership, Trump at the top of that leadership, saying the whole unipolar moment where we're the indispensable nation that for moral reasons must be always and everywhere, like that's over. We do live in a multipolar world. China's going to be powerful. India's going to be powerful. If the Middle East, especially say the Gulf Arabs, really get their act together, they're going to be a power. Same thing with South America. The Europeans will probably be their own nexus, and Russia will be one of it. It'll be many centers of power that instead of it being the bipolar world of Russia, the Soviet Union, the United States, instead of it being the unipolar world where we dominated for a few decades, we're now heading into a world where you have to be able to balance all these different interests and create these coalitions that aren't as, they need to be more nimble. And essentially you need to reset the world order and the chessboard as it currently exists. And the idea of the Trump administration is to do so. You make this peace deal, say with Russia and Ukraine, not only to make peace, but and not flirt with nuclear war, World War III, but also to make a deal that benefits the United States going forward in many different ways. And sort of ends this whole saga of how long will NATO expand? We're done with that. We played that game out. Now, to focus in on just the war in Ukraine, this was a clip, I believe Trump himself shared this a week or so ago. This is Jeffrey Sachs. He's a regular guest on our good friend Judge Napolitano's show. This was at the European Parliament, I believe. And Sachs gives a little bit of a history lesson on how this all came about.
Better evidence. The Russians intercepted her call and they put it on the internet. Listen to it. It's fascinating. I know all these people.
He's talking about Victoria Nuland when she said F the EU, and she's talking about who could be the next leaders to be put up as all the confusion and chaos of the protests there in 2014 were ongoing. But he knows all these people. He really does.
By the way, by doing that, they all got promoted in the Biden administration. That's the job. Now, when the Maidan occurred, I was called immediately. Oh, Professor Sachs, the new Ukrainian prime minister would like to see you to talk about the economic crisis. Because I'm pretty good at that. And so I flew to Kiev and I was walked around the Maidan. And I was told how the U.S. paid the money for all the people around the Maidan. Spontaneous, revolution of dignity. Ladies and gentlemen, please, where do all these media outlets come from? Where does all this organization come from? Where do all these buses come from? Where do all these people called in come from? Are you kidding? This is organized effort. And it's not a secret, except to citizens of Europe and the United States. Everyone else understands it quite clearly. Then came Minsk, and especially Minsk II, which, by the way, was modeled on South Tyrolean autonomy. And the Belgians could have related to Minsk II very well.
These are the negotiations to end the civil war in the eastern part of Ukraine, Minsk I and Minsk II.
It said there should be autonomy for the Russian-speaking regions in the east of Ukraine. It was supported unanimously by the UN Security Council. The United States and Ukraine decided it was not to be enforced. Germany and France, which were the guarantors of the Normandy process, let it go. And it was absolutely another direct American unipolar action with Europe, as usual, playing completely useless subsidiary role, even though it was a guarantor of the agreement. Trump won, raised the armaments. There were many thousands of deaths in the shelling by Ukraine in the Donbass. There was no Minsk II agreement. And then Biden came into office. And again, I know all these people. I used to be a member of the Democratic Party. I now am strictly sworn to be a member of no party because both are the same anyway. And because this is, the Democrats became complete warmongers over time, and there was not one voice about peace, just like most of your parliamentarians, the same way. So at the end of 1991, Putin put on the table a last effort in two security agreement drafts, one with Europe and one with the United States. The U.S. put on the table December 15th, 2021. I had an hour call with Jake Sullivan in the White House.
That was the then national security advisor for Biden. And he misspoke when he said 1991. We're talking 2021. And Jake Sullivan was the guy with Tony Blinken running foreign policy for the Biden team.
Begging, Jake, avoid the war. You can avoid the war. All you have to do is say NATO will not enlarge to Ukraine. And he said to me, oh, NATO's not going to enlarge to Ukraine. Don't worry about it. I said, Jake, say it publicly. No, we can't say it publicly. Say, Jake, you're going to have a war over something that isn't even going to happen? He said, don't worry, Jeff, there will be no war. These are not very bright people. I'm telling you, if I can give you my honest view, they're not very bright people. And I dealt with them for more than 40 years. They talk to themselves. They don't talk to anybody else. They play game theory. In non-cooperative game theory, you don't talk to the other side. You just make your strategy. This is the essence of game theory.
Wow. So, just to give it back to y'all, in December of 2021, he has a phone conversation with the National Security Advisor for Joe Biden, the National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan. And Sullivan would refuse to say publicly Ukraine's not going to become part of NATO, even though privately he was saying that. And in fact, they did the exact opposite. I think one of the last sort of straws for the Russians was sending Vice President Harris over to say, invite Ukraine into NATO.
What were the little Russian regions or Russian-speaking regions?
The Donbass, which is Donetsk and Luhansk.
Okay, that to me kind of...
And they're on the far east of Ukraine. They're right on the Russian border. They are majority Russian speakers.
But they weren't being protected or recognized?
Yes, they were very fearful that, for instance, that there were laws being passed to ban Russian as the language.
By the Ukrainians?
Yes, by the new government in Kyiv. And to his point earlier, he is asked, because he's an economic development expert, to show up in Kiev after the coup, or after the revolution, whatever you want to call it, the Maidan overthrow of the current government in Ukraine, in Kiev. He's asked to come in, and the people there are like, yeah, the U.S. helped us. Which, again, and maybe it's because I was a listener of Glenn Beck years ago. I started, back to his credit and his researchers' credit, they were covering all this stuff with the Arab Spring. And you learn very quickly that, like, the Arab Spring isn't this organic, like a fruit monger set himself on fire. No, this is a lot of work being done by USAID, by the State Department. They're developing civil society groups. And they do it in sometimes subtle ways, like we're throwing a big Christmas party at the State Department, and all the locals who show up to the big Christmas party, are cool. And okay, we're developing this network of people. You then use a bunch of money to prop up media organizations. You use a bunch of money to help organize people. You have folks that actually know how to run protests and know how to message. And there you go. And so this idea that like Russia invades in 2022 just out of the clear, bolt out of the blue, it's like, no, it was plain as day. And I think it's the hubris of the folks on the American side who are playing that game. And so what Trump and team are now doing is saying, we're done with that era. We want a new security agreement. We want Europe and the Russians to have a different relationship. We want the United States and Russia to have a different relationship. We want people to stop dying. And in fact, we would like to rebuild Ukraine. And that provides security in the sense that the United States being there, being the one rebuilding Ukraine, the United States always has the implicit big stick to use.
Right.
Number one. You don't have to be provocative and put the big stick right out in the open and wave it all the time in front of the Russians, but that's always implicit. But the United States also has a lot of carrots. And it would be probably wise if you get, and I've been watching a lot of folks, like folks that are much more the conventional opinion that we should just, whatever it takes, keep sending money in there, and a lot of Russians die, and that's good for us if they are depleted militarily. I'll listen to those folks, and I'll listen to folks more like Professor Sachs and others. And one thing that's annoying me, and why I love Jeffrey Sachs' speech I just played there, is he was actually in the room in these places. But there's a lot of folks on whatever side of this you're on about these peace negotiations, you're acting like you're in the room. If you read the New York Times, you're not in the room. If you watch a video on X, you're not in the room. You might be right, but who knows? The whole point is, especially with, I saw Zelensky putting out a tweet or a post or whatever on X earlier today, saying, well, we want this and we want that. It's like, stop doing this in public, you absolute jackass.
Doesn't work out.
Say what you need to say publicly and get to the frickin' table.
To me, the weird dynamic here is I think that Europe has lost a lot of its power and influence, and maybe just willingness to engage to the level that it needs to. I mean, look at what some of the Muslims coming into some of the countries have done, and their governments have just, been helpless or rendered helpless, it seems. We recognize what China, what that threat is on the rest of the world. And if we can't lean on our most long-standing ally in Europe because they've gotten too soft, then we're going to have to look for a new dance partner.
Well, here's an answer to your very good point. The headline is Macron urges, this is Emmanuel Macron, the president of France. Macron urges Europe, prepare for defense without U.S. certainty. French President Emmanuel Macron addressed Europe, warning of the threat of Russia poses to European security and advocating for a robust defense strategy. During a televised speech that went out over the entire continent, he emphasized the need for Europe to be prepared for potential conflicts without relying solely on the United States' support. Macron also proposed discussions about extending France's nuclear protection to other European allies, highlighting a shift towards European strategic autonomy in defense matters. And some folks are saying that, the over-the-top, like, prepare for war or whatever. No. What you need is a new security understanding agreement between all parties involved, whether you like or hate each other. But, of course, the Russians responding to French President Macron doing a little bit of their trolling as expected. There is not a lot of love at this point, but they said they are still people who want to go back to the times of Napoleon, forgetting how it ended. Yeah, the whole Moscow campaign, the whole Russian campaign by Napoleon did not end well, though I suspect most of the people die, from cold and disease. But the Russians burned down Moscow, remember that, and move to St. Petersburg, but they essentially let Napoleon take Moscow, and he's stuck there, and they won't surrender.
Dude, Stalingrad, to this day, I'm still just amazed at the win at all cost mentality.
And what's nuts is how it always, in my mind, it's important to have all these different, let the diplomats work. They have all these very detailed, intricate understandings. Like, here's how we're going to operate on security. Here's how we're going to operate on basic economics, yada, yada, yada. And all those systems are very important. It's good to have that all in writing and you rev that up. But I think what it does is it comes down to personalities. I really do believe, I think even you could see a Henry Kissinger saying stuff like this, that as much as it's these big systems, you need to know how to pull all the levers, all these big systems. No, it comes down to individual, often men, but women too, individuals who have the personality to trust one another and make agreements. Does it always work out? No. In the case of Napoleon, him and Tsar Alexander, they met and seemed like fast friends. And then a while later, there's Napoleon invading. So let's hope we don't ever go back to something like that, especially with modern weaponry. But I find this is an amazing effort by President Trump and team. I like the idea we want the killing to stop. We want peace. And not only they're just saying peace at any cost, what they're saying is by founding this peace, which Rubio has been clear saying, I don't know if we have it. We don't have any guarantees that we'll have peace. But by trying to found this peace, it will found a new understanding in the whole region and reset a lot of the problems that have been underlying the tensions that then bubbled and boiled up to the surface in 2014 and 2022.
Help me out real quickly. So moving, post Iraq Operation Freedom, we had the neocons and that movement there. When did the war machine kind of, or am I just being naive and it was always this way, but kind of the main actors were the neocons. Where was this wing of the war machine in the Democrat Party in the 90s or the...
Oh, they were there.
They were?
I
know Charlie Wilson wore, Democrat and all that, but...
Right. But no, think Clinton and NATO goes into what? Yugoslavia. When that whole war is going on. NATO intervenes.
Right. Okay.
There was still a very strict no-fly zone over Iraq. Like that, we were running sorties daily over Iraq under Clinton. Clinton's also the one, famously to distract bombs like some pharmaceutical factory in the middle of nowhere.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, no, Clinton was no dove by any means.
Okay, but maybe not from a politician standpoint, but from an academic. Like, I can name Paul Wolfowitz.
Sure.
I can't name the Democrat.
It would have been Brzezinski.
Okay.
Yeah, Brzezinski was Brzezinski and Kissinger, and you notice all these secretaries of state always meet with Kissinger and talk with him because he knows. Again, it comes down to personality. He has relationships with every frickin'. He's a very old man now, but he has relationships with every frickin' head of state.
But all right. So I just need to follow his family tree to see the Democrat war dogs.
Yes.
Okay.
And when you say neoconservative, it's a lot of different folks that rise up and fall in terms of who's actually making policy. But like Victoria Nuland and her husband, I believe is Kennedy is his last name, were often advising Bush and advising Barack Obama. And you have a lot of these, no matter who wins the presidency, you have these, say, tastemakers who are setting what foreign policy should be. But the original origins of the neoconservatives are people that were Trotskyites.
Mm-hmm.
And they then drop their communist pose and become conservatives. And some are, James Burnham's one of them. He was an early writer and helped found National Review with Bill Buckley.
Right.
And so it's not like all these folks are worthless. It's just that by the time you get to the 90s, and then you get into the Bush administration in particular, yeah, they had a lot of ideas. But I suspect even if, say, Al Gore wins in 2000, Iraq was still on the list.
Really?
Yeah. Think of all the Democrats who voted for it.
I just can't.
Remember when Bush pushed it? Remember, it's one thing to go to Afghanistan after 9/11,
Yeah.
but think of all the Democrats who did vote for the Iraq War, and they later said he lied to us. And
Yeah.
y'all were in on it. Give me a break.
Yeah. You're right. Okay.
Yeah. No, I think
it's always been that way. It's
Yes.
just been.
And whether it's Clinton in the 90s with NATO expansion or Bush in the early aughts with NATO expansion, with a lot of smart folks in the American government saying we shouldn't do this, this will not end well.
They did a better job.
They did it anyway.
They did a better job of selling it.
Yeah. Well, and they had, I think, brilliant systems of propaganda and control.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Better job of selling it.
Yeah. And I think what's happened is the internet happened. And they lost control of the narrative. And now we are in a place where I think good riddance. I think they wasted a lot of blood and treasure, and ended a lot of things to like what end.
Mm-hmm.
Like you look at Iraq, and what was the whole idea is to make sure like you have this. What was the initial sales pitch? It wasn't just the weapons of mass destruction thing, folks. Well, we did find weapons of mass destruction. Yes, the old ones that were first unaccounted for after the first Gulf War. You're talking about like old stocks of mustard gas and stuff. It wasn't the claim of a reconstituted weapons program and Cheney at the VFW intimating nuclear capabilities. Was just nonsense. But the idea was to be a bulwark against Iran that will take out Saddam, and we'll have a king like we have in Jordan.
We were going to have a democracy in the Middle East.
No. The idea was initially like how Jordan has a king. We'll have a king.
I thought it was going to be a democracy.
And instead it becomes this democracy state building thing. And guess who ends up like running Iraq? The Shiites, who are friendly with Iran. And so it's like, well, now we got to, you know why Assad fell? Because, well, now we got to take out the Shiite crescent, so to speak. And Iran's then funding Hamas and funding the Houthis and funding all the militias in Iraq. And it's a big old mess.
I feel like every person at like the CIA or, the smoke-filled room at the State Department's got to be like that Charlie Day meme from
Always Sunny, yeah.
Like every one of them.
Yeah. And again, I'm just a jackass on the radio. Seriously.
Or is like the Charlie Wilson's war scene, like, well, who's on this problem?
Right.
Like me and two other guys.
There are much more informed people than I who do this for a living. Like, for instance, the reason J.D. Vance went back to the Senate earlier this week to testify, he did it on behalf of Elbridge Colby. Elbridge Colby was one of the guys saying a lot of this is a bad idea, like all this. And he was, persona non grata for the longest time. Now that we are heading more towards, instead of it being the unipolar moment, the indispensable nation, we are moving back towards realism. You might be an offensive realist like a John Mearsheimer, or a defensive realist like Jeffrey Sachs that we just played. You might be somewhere even in between. But the idea is not about these over-the-top ways of dominating the whole globe. It should be about what is realistically achievable and in the interest of the United States of America.
I've actually read something that the greater we get to a more hegemonic world, whatever the competing powers are, they will do a good job of policing themselves, and the extremist groups, under their banners or on their soil, they won't be operating, to the same degree that they are today.
Now, there are some libertarians I know that are hoping for like go full Ron Paul, and I'm not seeing that yet. I think, again, what you're seeing is more the rise of the realist school that are surrounding Trump. And it is very different than the folks that have been running the show for the last 20, 30 years. And I say good riddance. And those folks that have been running the show for a while still have big megaphones and microphones and ways of getting information out there. But when it comes to this peace deal in particular, to end this war with Russia and Ukraine, I'm at the point of let's let them get in the room and hash this out. Because right now, a lot of the public statements for or against it, we're not in the room. We need to let it play out. Because that's how you actually get peace. That's how you solve anything in big geopolitical problems, is you get the right people who understand one another, who can show acts of good faith, and you climb down the escalation ladder, and you actually reset the board.
Well, France and Germany,
what we need.
France and Germany need to have their butts back at the table.
And from what they were saying yesterday, Germany also had a big speech. It looks like the Europeans, in particular France and Germany, are going to be getting ready. They have to be.
They have to be.
Because if you want the United States to focus our resources on anywhere, again, it's not full Ron Paul, but if you want them to focus anywhere, it should be on the Chinese. And instead of selling weapons to Ukraine, maybe we should be selling, and we already are, weapons to India.
Can we get away from the enemy of my enemy is my friend idea? Can we just understand that the enemy of my enemy can also be my enemy?
Well, there's that. But it's also, you have to look at this as discrete problems sometimes. But at the end of the day, I think American tactics are still second to none. What the problem has been, like, we're able to really some butt-whooping violence, like, and blow stuff up and kill people. But where we've lacked is strategy. And I think it is because we didn't have any near-peer competitor for decades. we had a lot of money. We had a lot of money. And like, so when you don't need to economize, you don't need to actually see what your budget is. No, we can just print it.
Yeah, but
like it leads to, I think, a very stupid strategic posture.
What are we good at? We're good at things we can control. Like we can build things, we can advance technologically, that sort of things. We can't really control people.
Right.
Like no matter what our foreign policy is, whatever advantages we have militarily, whenever we go try to prop up this, this person because they're our friend now, well, they're going to change because that's human nature. And now they're no longer an ally. Like that's problematic. And that seems to be kind of one of the bases or cornerstones for everything that we've done internationally over the last 30 or 40 years.
We got to hit a break here. But first, this part of the program brought to you by Cole Plumbing. And there at Cole Plumbing, James Cole and the team are ready to help you with any and all of your plumbing needs. It could be an everyday problem like low water pressure, clogged drain, or it could be a big problem like a huge burst pipe or leak. Well, they can solve that big problem without having to tear out a bunch of drywall or dig up a huge hole in your yard. They can do it with precision and expertise with this unique technology there to Cole Plumbing. Of course, they can also help you upgrade to, say, a tankless water heater system, or maybe you need a new garbage disposal in the kitchen, or you want a nicer or taller toilet, or maybe even a bidet in the bathroom. They can help you with all of these things. So y'all call them up today at 279-8919. That's 279-8919. And just remember, folks, when you have trouble with your ball,
call on Cole.
We'll be right back.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
Rich Thomas Weather, a service of H&H Carpets across from Walmart on the Atlanta Highway, where right now you can get 1,050 square feet of carpet installed for $19.95 only at H&H Carpets in Montgomery.
Rich Thomas Weather. Well, hi, everybody. We've taken a step backward with cooler temperatures, but not for too long. Today, unusually cool for this late in the season with a high in the upper 50s. Lots of sunshine. The breeze will make it seem cooler than it is. Partly cloudy, chilly tonight. Overnight low temperature down to about 38. Tomorrow, I think we'll recover into the low 70s. And a good bit of sunshine on Friday. Saturday's a little warmer at 74 with risk of scattered showers by Saturday afternoon. Showers and thunderstorms becoming likely on Saturday night. And then dry Sunday, but breezy and much cooler. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
For reliable electrical services in Central Alabama, trust the experts at Crosby Electric. Crosby's licensed and insured electricians are ready to tackle any project for your home, from troubleshooting, repairs, to installing new lighting and preventive maintenance. And Crosby understands the need for quality service for small business. Crosby is big enough for the largest job, yet small enough to bring real value. Visit CrosbyElectric.com to schedule your service. Crosby, powering Central Alabama with excellence.
Are you happy with your IT support company? Do they resolve your company's computer issues quickly, or do they leave you down and frustrated? You need your computers working and problems resolved quickly and permanently. GTI is different. GTI has a high standard of affordably supporting and protecting businesses like yours since 1999. Call them now at 819-4650, 819-4650, or visit gtinow.com.
If it concerns your community, you'll hear about it on News Talk 93.1. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Clark.
Welcome back. This entire hour brought to you by Alabama Home Mortgage. And there at Alabama Home Mortgage, they can help you with purchasing a home, and just getting prepared to purchase a home, you might as well go ahead and get pre-approved, understand how much home you can afford. And Kim and Madeline can turn that around for you pretty quickly. It's just a quick conversation that asks you a few basic things, and you can understand, well, here's how much home I can actually be in the market for. And of course, if you go through with that, you can have Alabama Home Mortgage guide you every step of the way, from pre-approval all the way to closing day. And they're also doing a lot of great refinance deals. Listeners to the show are saving like $400 a month. In particular, veteran who went through the VA programs, they understand they're at Alabama Home Mortgage. I think it's like they had an average 16-day turnaround. So if you're thinking, how long is this going to take? No, like 2 weeks, and you're golden. You get that relief, helps you restructure some debt, get that credit card debt off your back. Whether you're a veteran, it's the best game in town, or even if you're not a veteran, it could be the right move for you. But it all begins with a conversation there at Alabama Home Mortgage. Call Kim and Madeline today at 567-4223. That's 567-4223. Or you can always apply online at myalabamahomemortgage.com. There is a difference in mortgage companies. Let Kim and Madeline prove that to you today. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender. Let's go to Cranky. Hey, Cranky, how you doing?
Hey, good afternoon. I got two different things. The short one, I'll just say, what happened to, when are we going to get rid of the enemy of my friend is my friend? That's just never good for arms sales. So that's just not ever going to work in this country. It looks good on paper, but it's just really bad business if you're, selling tanks or planes or munitions or anything. That's not ever going to happen. Shifting gears, I think your analysis, as usual, is just about completely spot on. But when you refer to the president of France, just to set the context properly, not that you haven't already, but a good, accurate statement would say to be the president of the cheese-eating surrender monkeys.
That's part of the problem. They can't be surrender monkeys.
Man, they do make good cheese, though.
They're going to have to level up to at least be somewhat formidable monkeys.
Man, they cook all that stuff in butter. It's so good.
We can't count on America. We can't count on America. Well, they damn sure didn't mind counting on us during World War II when we pulled their sorry asses out of the fire. Okay? We can't count on them. We can't count on anybody over there because they've watered down their military to pay for all their social programs.
Mm-hmm.
And, the only thing that is stronger than the body odor in France is the arrogance. That's all I'm going to say. Actually, no, I'm not. When the Islamic world flushes its toilet, it winds up in Paris. That's where they send all their dregs. They send them to Paris. And, and they've got the gall to turn around and say, we can't count on America. No, my friend, it's exactly the opposite. Just like most things in life, what you see and what you hear people say, it's the exact opposite of the reality. And, Trump would say this, they need us. We don't need them. We've got enough body odor here. We've got enough arrogance here. We've got enough pinheads here. Take a look at what happened the other night with the Democrats in Congress. We don't need them for that. We've already got our own slime here. But
well said.
But other things are going pretty doggone good. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that you summed it up well. Well, I appreciate it, Cranky.
Other than this hole in my head, things are fun.
Yeah. 272-9228. But hold your horses. Jeff Deist, former chief of staff for Ron Paul, former president of the Mises Institute. He now works, I believe, at Monetary Metals. He will be joining us in the 2 o'clock hour, his regular Thursday visit at 2. And we're definitely going to touch on maybe a little bit of what we were just discussing this hour with the shift in American foreign policy under Trump. It's not a complete shift. They haven't gone full Ron Paul, but we'll also be discussing this crypto strategic reserve and what actually should be included in a strategic reserve, or maybe it should be more appropriate in a sovereign wealth fund, yada, yada, yada. We'll get into that.
Don't we have Craig and them at 2 o'clock or something?
Oh, yeah, and Craig Munger should have some big report about all the brouhaha on the floor of the State House.
I've seen Friday too many times. It's just always going to be Craig and them.
It's just Craig and them?
Craig and them.
Yeah. Craig's a good dude.
He is a good dude.
He sent me an adorable photo. He was
it's just his son like holding the cat, and the cat's being very gentle and compliant. And the kid's watching something. I had to listen for like, I'm like, oh, Lord of the Rings. I think that's Fellowship of the Ring.
Nice.
I like that quite a bit. This part of the program brought to you by Bo Goodson of the Goodson Group. And there at the Goodson Group, Bo and his team are ready to help you whether you're looking to buy or sell here in the Montgomery and surrounding areas. Bo's been working in the River Region real estate market for nearly 50 years now. And at the Goodson Group, not only can they help you buying and selling property, they have management services available should you want to rent out your home. And then the crown jewel there at the Goodson Group is the Bo Goodson Real Estate School, one of the most highly acclaimed real estate programs in Alabama because it's very interactive. Bo's bringing that decades of experience to bear. And just look at all the folks that have graduated and gone on to great success as more knowledgeable private players or as fully licensed real estate agents. So y'all check out the Goodson Group today. You can always learn more at thegoodson.com or give them a call at 551-0225. That's 551-0225. Bo Goodson and the Goodson Group. Great sponsor here of the program. Jeff Deist joins us on the other side.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusana, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. 25% tariffs on most goods from Mexico will be postponed until April 2nd. This comes after President Trump spoke with Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum. Some Democrats voted along with Republicans in today's censure vote against Democrat Al Green of Texas. Green had disrupted President Trump's address to Congress earlier this week. The average rate on a 30-year mortgage in the U.S. eased for the 7th straight week, a trend that gives prospective homebuyers more financial flexibility just ahead of the spring home buying season. The rate fell to 6.63% from 6.76% last week. That's according to mortgage buyer Freddie Mac. On Wall Street, the Dow is down nearly 600 points. This is SRN News.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free, no-risk consultation. 800-292-7875. 800-292-7875. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-292-7875.
Rich Thomas Weather is brought to you by MPM Feed and Seed. It's time to get those gardens ready. From seeds to plants to fertilizer, MPM has what you need. Shop MPM Feed and Seed in Prattville, 1313 Highway 31 North, open Monday through Friday 8 to 5, Saturdays 8 to 1.
Well, hi, everybody. We've taken a step backward with cooler temperatures, but not for too long. Today, unusually cool for this late in the season with a high in the upper 50s. Lots of sunshine. The breeze will make it seem cooler than it is. Partly cloudy, chilly tonight. Overnight low temperature down to about 38. Tomorrow, I think we recover into the low 70s. And a good bit of sunshine on Friday. Saturday's a little warmer at 74 with risk of scattered showers by Saturday afternoon. Showers and thunderstorms becoming likely on Saturday night. And then dry Sunday, but breezy and much cooler. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
You can make your ASC loan payments from your phone anytime, anywhere. It's quick and easy. www.yourasccu.com. Federally insured by NCUA.
1819 News.
The Glock switch ban being offered by State Senator Will Barfoot has now passed the House Public Safety and Homeland Security Committee and will be considered today in the full Alabama House. The Glock switch bill has already passed the state Senate with a 28-0 vote. There's already a federal law in place that bans Glock switches, which is a device added to a regular firearm, turning it from a semi-automatic to a fully automatic firing system. I'll be back with more Alabama stories after this.
I'm Amy Beth Shaver with Alabama Unfiltered Radio, and when I need the news and I need it fast, I turn to Andrea Tice and the Daily Detail. On my way in, it is the most convenient, best way for me to digest what's going on so that I can use it for our show. She tells you what's going on in Alabama that day first and fast. So listen to the Daily Detail with Andrea Tice. Don't miss out.
The Daily Detail is available wherever podcasts are found.
The House Ways and Means General Fund Committee has passed a post-election audit bill that is sponsored by State Representative Debbie Wood. HB 30 requires a random post-election audit to be conducted within a certain percentage of precincts in each county in the state. Wood says that a post-election audit is not the same as a recount, but is designed to ensure that the DS-200 voting machines are processing and counting the paper ballots properly. Wood says that audits only increase transparency and accountability in making sure that our elections are fair and accurate here in Alabama. And Mobile police are investigating a case where a dog was found alongside a road inside a bag. That dog ultimately died as a result of the physical condition he was in when they found him. Mobile County Sheriff Paul Birch told WKRG News that a person who would do this to a dog is a piece of trash and that his officers are going to find that person and bring them to justice. I'm Andrea Tice.
For more news affecting Alabamians, go to 1819news.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the daily newsletter.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
What's your biggest investment? More than likely, it's your home. So treat it that way when you hire a painting contractor. With PBS Painting, there are no gimmicks, no $99 specials. Just quality painting and someone who treats your home with the same respect that you do. At PBS Painting, we have been painting for years and look forward to many more years to come. With PBS Painting, the job gets prepped properly, whether it's cleaning, scraping, or priming. We always use quality products, which is a must for a quality paint job. So if you're looking for a painter that doesn't need upfront money and is on the job at all times, then please give me a call. Scott Bowers and PBS Painting, 294-5122. That's PBS Painting, 294-5122. Look at some of our work on Facebook at PBS Painting Montgomery.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's News and Views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Show is flying by. Really is flying by. Well, because there's a lot happening, and we haven't even gotten to half of it. But as promised, joining us now, we have the one, the only Jeff Deist. He's former chief of staff to Ron Paul, former president of the Mises Institute, now their general counsel at Monetary Metals. How you doing today, Jeff?
Hey, Joey. Doing well. How are you?
Good. In the last hour, we were just playing part of the speech Professor Sachs gave to the European Parliament on kind of the lead up to Ukraine. And what I was telling the audience is it seems like the Trump administration has not gone full Ron Paul, but it does seem that this move towards the realist school is something refreshing, and I'll certainly take it. I'd like them to go full Ron Paul, but knowing how Washington is, maybe that's wishful thinking. What do you think of this shift in American foreign policy, in particular having to do with this peace negotiation with the Russians and Ukrainians?
Well, it's an important point. This war has been going on way too long, and it would not have lasted this long without U.S. involvement, U.S. weapons. And I would suspect, actually, some degree of U.S. boots on the ground, certainly in the form of CIA personnel, perhaps special forces. We don't know, but I'm always suspicious when people, when people in officialdom tell us things. So it's refreshing rhetoric. It's rhetoric in the right direction, and it really is. If our job is to be anything, it's to make this war end. It's not to continue to escalate it, continue to fund it, and so. Not surprisingly, Trump is getting a tremendous amount of blowback over this. I mean, this is a gigantic industry. It's not just the actual defense and armaments industry itself, but it's the punditry industry. It's the neoconservative industry in politics, which basically it determined after the Cold War that the United States would be the unilateral boss of the world. And that's likely to create friction and cost us a lot of blood and treasure.
Now, what is the shift you've seen? Because you had a unique perspective being up there in D.C., I would say at the height of the neoconservatives of the so-called unipolar moment. I mean, I'd imagine there has been a, say, demotion of these folks in the power they once had over the American imagination.
Well, they just switched parties. They all left the Republicans and went to the Democrats, right? I mean, they haven't changed their views on anything. They've just changed their tool for advancing their views. But I think things are a lot better today, Joey. When I was up in Washington, D.C., I worked for Ron Paul, who had a congressional district in very red district in Texas, very rural. George W. Bush was president. Tom DeLay, a Texan, was Speaker of the House. The Republicans controlled the Senate. I mean, the Iraq War too was very, very, very popular in Texas. And so when Ron Paul spoke out against it, not just in terms of the aforementioned blood and treasure, but also in terms of principle. Is it really our job to impose democracy on a country that we barely understand that's 10,000 miles away, a country that's really three countries cobbled together by the British, that has deep divisions within it amongst Sunni and Shia, for example? Well, as complex as those on-the-ground facts may be, the same type of situation exists between Russia and Ukraine in their history and the language and the ethnicity of the people and the Orthodox people versus the secular people. They're very, very complex. And I would argue that it's not for America to unravel all that. And so Dr. Paul was pretty unpopular in Congress preaching non-interventionism in, let's say, 2002, 2003, when we were rolling into Iraq for the second time. I think his message is a lot more popular today.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful thing to see. But last hour, we also kind of got into, it wasn't just Bush and team. Obviously, they had the executive branch, the presidency. They were pushing Iraq War II. But I think some of the Democrats, like your Hillary Clintons or your Joe Bidens, many of them, didn't they support it full-throated? And I think it was... at best, they were being misleading. It's an outright lie to say, oh, well, the Bush team just lied to us. I have the sense, the counterfactual, even if Al Gore wins the presidency in 2000, I'd imagine the Iraq War II still might have been on the plate of the nation.
Oh, there's no question. The vast majority of Democrats supported it. And the Democrats who did not at that time were considered far left, like Barbara Lee, who represented a district in Oakland, California, a black lady. And the handful of Republicans who opposed it were considered old right, people like Ron Paul and Walter Jones and Jimmy Duncan from Tennessee. So it was a very small coalition. People like Ralph Nader were involved, Dennis Kucinich, who was a congressman from Ohio. It was a unique coalition, but it's really grown. And now, of course, we have the Clintons of the world joined with the Cheneys of the world. So the Uniparty has shifted its focus, but it continues to live. And so I think what we're seeing is the cracks in that. We're seeing serious, deep divisions in the entire post-war consensus led by the U.S. Europe is going to have to come along on this very reluctantly. They're going to have to arm themselves. They're going to have to rethink their welfare states. They're going to have to rethink their immigration policies if they want to be tough guys. It's been a long time since any of them were tough guys. They're not very good at it. They don't have the money. And so I think, Trump understands that, and he's playing the hand very well.
Now, one thing that I'm hearing a lot on the right, and sometimes it's not a hard conclusion to come to, I like to question everything, especially after that behavior at the State of the Union, or this joint address to Congress Trump just gave. people keep saying, though, the Democrats, they're so lost in the wilderness and this might be their demise. But to me, that sounds like honeymoon talk. I guess my question is, should people still be keeping a pretty firm eye on the Democratic Party in this country, in particular, given how some of these folks you just named are now working for the Democrats?
Oh, definitely. You can't ever imagine that politically vanquished people just sort of go away or change their minds. That's not how things work. But what's so interesting about the speech the other night is that Trump, through his mastery of rhetoric and just his understanding of human emotion and communication, has turned the left into the reactionaries. In other words, people on the right have been so used to being on our heels, to explaining, to responding. In other words, to reacting to things pushed by progressives. And now progressives in just the last few years find themselves on the other foot. And they're not very good at it. And it makes them very uncomfortable. And it's really great to see.
And I think they're mistaking, I think they understand that authenticity is sort of the coin of the realm these days online, that if you really can be authentic on a large scale, it's a unique talent and it goes a long way. But I think they're confusing authenticity, even though they know that lesson, with just being brash and crude and in your face. And I don't think it's working. Or let's just do the latest trend on TikTok. I think what they're probably going to require is some charismatic leader on their side. I think the best thing that might be, not that I want the Democrats to succeed, but if they want to, it's going to require some outsider comparable to Trump, but who is his own man or woman.
Yeah, and you wonder who that is. Is that Governor Newsom from California? I don't know. He's trying. He's older than you think, and I think affects a very pseudo faux youthiness. And then when you look at the senators on the Democratic side, they tend to be older females. You look at the mayors. Somehow, in just the last 5 or 10 years, the counterculture became right wing, and the left lost its youthiness. It wasn't that long ago we were talking about Occupy Wall Street. It wasn't that long we were talking about Bernie, and that energy is just gone. And I'm not sure how you get that back. That's momentum. It's almost like in sports, momentum is really critical.
Now, shifting gears here a little bit, I think tomorrow is a big meeting of folks coming in about this crypto strategic reserve. I guess you could throw me in the camp, though I try to eschew labels, of a Bitcoin maxi. I would want to see a Bitcoin strategic reserve. I'm not sure about these others, whether it's Solana or XRP, all these that are being mentioned. I mean, what do you make of this conversation about a strategic reserve, and what should be put in there, if anything?
If anything, how about nothing? That's what I think. I'm against it. This is a family show, so we can't use certain words when it comes to coins other than Bitcoin.
Sure.
Which I do know. But I don't think government should be in the business of amassing oil in some strategic way. I don't think they should be in the business of amassing gold. And I certainly don't think they should be in the business of amassing Bitcoin, because I worry very much that that'll take away Bitcoin's entire reason for being, which was to have government outside the control, or money outside the control of government, I should say. In other words, to have a truly private currency issued by no government, controlled by no government, with no centralized authority over it. And so if governments go around buying, let's say vast quantities of Bitcoin, first of all, it props up the price. And so, some Bitcoin holders might like that. But the flip side is, why do they like that? Are they looking for an exit? With the courtesy of Uncle Sam, it might be. And moreover, it's picking winners and losers. We don't want government involved in making Bitcoin happen. We want Bitcoin to happen organically in a decentralized fashion. And so if a huge amount of Bitcoin came to be owned by, let's say, the U.S. Treasury, then I would fear that a lot of control would follow that.
That makes sense to me. But I also, for folks who aren't in deep to this, I see Bitcoin really is as a commodity without an issuer. Whereas I look at these other cryptocurrencies out there, and may the best win, and I know there's a lot of different functions they could serve, but I think it's apples and oranges when you compare some of these where there really is a company. It's like a security being issued, and I just want clarity. I want clear rules of the road, so there's a little more certainty in terms of, say, the regime and legal regime. That's really all I want. I mean, I'd be happy if the U.S. government ups the price by buying a bunch of it. I'm not selling anytime soon. And I just want that sort of certainty to where I'll put it this way. The last thing that was holding me out on really going all in on Bitcoin was not the underlying technology. I was convinced of that a while ago. It was, what is the government going to do? And if the government's more going to adopt it instead of, say, ban it like China did a few years back, that would make me very, very happy at the end of the day.
Well, the question that's posed here is it a commodity? Depends on your perspective. In other words, the technology itself and the value in that decentralized network, the value in the privacy and the lack of control, you could argue that that's where Bitcoin derives its value, and that's the commodity use. Because when we think of a commodity, we're talking about gold or wheat or something that has a use other than as money. So you have to get to the point in your understanding where you accept that Bitcoin's a commodity. I'm not sure that everybody's there. A lot of people disagree pretty strenuously with that. But beyond that, I mean, if a company forms, and I'm no fan of the SEC, but if a company forms and has a board and a CEO and a business model and creates a token, a digital token, and then they call it a coin, and that token starts to trade and people buy it with the understanding that it might go up and they'll make a profit, then that really does start to look and feel and sound like a commodity, like a security,
right?
To me, like a stock, like a share in a stock. And so that's the kind of thing that's going to invite the SEC or other government authorities into the picture. And that's what we don't want. So I think I'm very suspicious of these various coins and the companies behind them.
Now, on the economic front, also, it looks like today there's another pause in tariffs. All USMCA goods are USMCA. They're going to be exempt for another month until April the 2nd. I mean, what do you make of this move towards tariffs? And especially the big pitch, I think it's overstated, is we'll just go to an external revenue service compared to an internal revenue service. It seems like there's going to be massive disruptions, though Wall Street seems to hate this. But what do you look at when you see this?
Well, I think Trump uses tariffs almost as leverage more than he is serious about imposing them and generating the revenue. He's almost using them as a political tool. And let's not forget that until the 1910s, this country never had an income tax. And the federal government, anyway, got by largely on tariff income. So it's not something that's out of line with our history. I also think that Trump's always been a protectionist America First guy. You can go back and see interviews of him back in the 90s as a real estate guy. I mean, he's always been pro-tariff. He's always been protectionist, both of which used to be very popular positions with Democrats, by the way.
Right.
Until 5 minutes ago, they said the same thing. And so, when people are shocked or outraged by it, it seems odd to me because Trump's always talked about that. He's always campaigned on that. I think he's probably not serious about adding $20,000 to the cost of every imported car, whatever it might be. But as a tool to get perhaps a greater degree of fairness in our trading relations, it doesn't bother me that much. Yeah,
I kind of like the reciprocal idea. And if you get like Malay in Argentina goes, well, let's make it zero, and then it's zero. I think that's the ideal, honestly. So we'll see. I find that we're probably going to go through some rocky waters here going forward with the economy.
Sure.
Am I wrong in that certain, say, the top finance folks might be actually at war with the Trump administration over these things? They might make moves themselves in the same way, say, Liz Truss is driven out of being prime minister in Britain. Could there be, say, some folks trying to make Trump look really bad in the short term to get him to relent?
Well, sure. And, the markets, they probably don't love Trump at this point. Markets don't love tariffs, certainly. And, generally speaking, the powers that be don't want to have a chief executive who's talking about slashing spending and taking any kind of austerity measures. So it wouldn't be that hard for elites to sort of position or paint Trump into a corner where he lost badly in the midterm elections. And as a result of that, his policies were considered failures and his successor was not elected in 4 years, that sort of thing. I mean, sure, the economic and financial interests are going to like Trump or dislike Trump based on just whether he serves their interests. key among them is low interest rates. Right, the financial sector wants us to be a nation of borrowers and debtors, and they want very, very low interest rates to juice a lot of things, including commercial real estate, residential real estate, and to make the cost of borrowing cheap for companies, so that generally helps the stock market gain. So it really is a Wall Street versus Main Street fight, and Trump claims to be on Main Street side. I hope he is, and I hope he'll tough it out, because look, he's not running for re-election. So to me, his greatest legacy could be that he actually did stand up to this kind of fake cronyist financialization of the economy, which has plagued us since at least Alan Greenspan's time.
And on one part of this is also cutting spending, and I know there have been court rulings that have held up DOGE that are very unfortunate. But I saw the headlines yesterday that Senator Rand Paul presented the idea of rescission, and Elon Musk seemed very excited, elated about this. You even have folks like Lindsey Graham, who ever since that Zelensky fall in the Oval Office is, well, I've learned to appreciate Graham, Jeff, as a weather vane. When Lindsey flip-flops, you're like, okay, I guess the winds are changing. But do you think the rescission strategy will work here?
Well, we have to try something. We have to try anything at this point. I mean, everybody says that government's too big and it spends too much, except when it comes to their pet project, right? When it comes to Social Security benefits, all of a sudden old people are very, very against that. When it comes to whatever agency or department of the federal government, it turns out it's not just the workers in those agencies; it's actually all the recipients of USAID money or whatever it might be. And when we start to get into the bigger departments, we're going to find that it's even more. So as far as I'm concerned, Rand Paul should head up a special senatorial commission on spending. I'd love that.
Yeah, I think it'd be great. But I like the energy, and we'll keep pressing forward. I always appreciate your time, Jeff. If folks want to check out what you're thinking about, writing about, how can they do so?
Well, just find me on Twitter at Jeff Deist, all one word.
Appreciate it, sir. We'll do it again soon.
Okay. All right, Joey. Thanks.
Again, folks, that is Jeff Deist. Always appreciate his time. Oh, look. Change your camera around, Eddie, because I had to move it. Somebody didn't want to be on camera earlier.
Oh.
Eddie Bader is here in the studio now.
Hey, buddies.
How you doing?
All right.
Byron Sheehy also still here.
What's up, Eddie?
And we just got a text.
Yeah, saw that. Surprised?
The overhaul of the Veterans Board will be signed into law. Passed the House 56-39. Well, damn.
How many Democrats did he say?
I don't know.
20.
I just got the overall number.
What's the number of Dems? That
gummit is right. So, kudos to everybody who fought the good fight. But the governor's got a little more pull than y'all want to admit.
This is battle.
Mm-hmm.
All these cats have voted the wrong way.
She's got nothing to lose. I hope other people don't soon forget.
Some other people do.
Alabamians are bad to go. I mean, don't forget, this is the governor who blamed COVID on people like me who didn't get the vaccine.
Yep.
And she still got reelected.
Yeah,
so,
but
screw that old bat.
Getting the chance to remind folks is a certain pleasure I've come to enjoy in life.
And I think we'll have somebody who's there.
I'm running out of time. I need to see some karma now.
I ain't that young yet.
We'll have somebody who was there. Troy Carrico was there, I think, in the gallery, and he'll call in, tell us what happened.
Good.
But, hey, we got to hit a break. First, this part of the program brought to you by Montgomery Men's Health. And you know about that place, right?
Oh, yeah, man. Gone over there several times.
Yeah, and it's really, when we talk about, like, all the symptoms of low T, it's easy to find out if you have low T.
Right. Might not be the case.
Like $99, and really you just get a quick blood draw, and they ask you a few quality of life questions.
That's it.
Like, are you energetic?
How's your sleeping habit?
How's your sex life?
Yep.
Like, just across the board, they're asking those basic quality of life. And if it comes back and your score shows you have low testosterone, they have all sorts of treatments. Many different options depending on where you are in life, depending on your budget. They can help you out. They all work. It's just what option of treatment you prefer. And what's beautiful is that after these low T treatments, men experience higher energy, better gains in the gym, better mental clarity, improved sleep patterns, a faster metabolism, and you usually even notice an increased sex drive.
Nothing wrong with that, Joey.
There's a lot right with it, actually.
I agree.
And you can actually book the same day that you call. That number, 440-3663. That's 440-3663. Or go to MontgomeryMen'sHealth.com to book your appointment today.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Hi there, I'm Kim Williams with Alabama Home Mortgage. For years, I've been asking you to call me at Alabama Home Mortgage because there is a difference in mortgage companies. Did you know the current national average turn time to close on a mortgage is 48 business days? But not at Alabama Home Mortgage. At Alabama Home Mortgage, our average close time is 16 business days. That's a month faster than the rest. How do we do it? With over 60 years of combined experience in the industry. Our team knows mortgages. Our years of experience yield a better experience for our customers. Folks, time is money. Whether you're looking to buy or refi, don't waste time with another mortgage company, bank, or credit union. We close on time, every time. Give Alabama Home Mortgage a call at 567-4223. That's 567-4223. Or visit us online at myalabamahomemortgage.com to complete an application on your time. Our fast turn time is just one difference that sets us apart from the rest. It's not just a slogan. Call Alabama Home Mortgage because there is a difference in mortgage companies. NMLS 1586368, Equal Housing Lender.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state, while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com. This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
The Rich Thomas Weather Network is brought to you by Earnest Financial.
If you're tired of losing your money in the stock market, call David Earnest, 334-279-7431. Earnest Financial, LLC.
Hi, everybody. We've taken a step backward with cooler temperatures, but not for too long. Today, unusually cool for this late in the season with a high in the upper 50s. Lots of sunshine. The breeze will make it seem cooler than it is. Partly cloudy, chilly tonight. Overnight low temperature down to about 38. Tomorrow, I think we recover into the low 70s. And a good bit of sunshine on Friday. Saturday's a little warmer at 74 with risk of scattered showers by Saturday afternoon. Showers and thunderstorms becoming likely on Saturday night. And then dry Sunday, but breezy and much cooler. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
News and talk without the static. The River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Well, we have somebody calling in. Of course, this has been a months-long slog about the overhaul of the Veterans Board and commissioner role for Veterans Affairs here in the state. You've heard him many times on the show. We're going to keep having him on because he's just a great guest all around. But Troy Carrico is on the phone. You were down there, Troy, right?
Tell us what's going on. Yeah. Bad tidings. Something rotten in Denmark, Joey, to borrow Shakespeare. But here's what happened. It was really strange. There were about 30 absent seats. We counted 29 of the reps that were not present for the vote. And then on top of that, it was eerily quiet in the chamber. And only one debate occurred when I think it's Representative Givon, the lady that's running for Birmingham mayor, pretty sharp. She took Ed Oliver to task about it, and that was it. It was maybe 7-8 minutes of debate, vote, and then bam, 56-39. I spent the better part of 3 hours this morning with a couple other higher ranking veterans just trying to bend the ears of people. But this was already, the die was cast when the governor wrote this legislation, Joey.
Okay. That makes, so it sounds like all the Democrats there were against it, but they
were. I think without exception, they all voted against it. Yeah.
But you got that Republican supermajority, and you're right. I think the die was cast early on. Maybe some chipped away. Maybe that's why it was so quiet and some people weren't there.
We made progress. Yeah, we made progress. I think we were able to successfully get almost 10 people on board, but just not enough. Just not enough. So.
Well, damn. Yeah. But I know a lot of the work you put into this, and that's admirable unto itself. And
well, let me say this, Joey, and I want no apologies are necessary because this is not over. This is just beginning. And Byron, you're there. There's a lot of people that are veterans that are seriously consider running, and some of them are pretty high quality individuals that could probably take some of those seats. One of them's maybe going to be Cinco, Colonel DeMeo, who you had on the show recently.
Fantastic.
So there's people have had. I think there's this hornet's nest has been kicked, and now it's going to come with some stings. So,
well, here. Well, I appreciate it, brother, and I guess we'll see about 2 weeks. Won't be this upcoming Monday, but the next.
Yeah, it'll be I think 8 days, right? Yeah,
something like that.
So I look forward to it. And hey, great show, and I appreciate all you guys do, and Eddie, and you, Joey, and Byron. Telling the truth and transparency, man. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Troy.
Thank you, Troy.
Bye, guys. Bye.
272-9228. So there it is.
It's just so disappointing because I used to didn't give a crap. Once I started giving a crap, just get this slammed in my face on the regular.
Would you like to see Kay Ivey on a jet ski to cheer you up?
She going off the waterfalls?
No,
oh, that's pretty good though.
She's having
pretty
fun.
good, and she looks good with that jacket.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of matches the jet ski.
Yeah, you gotta love AI.
Yeah.
Sugar.
Just disappointing because again, both sides have the opportunity to do the right thing.
Right.
And it's not that hard. Good Lord, it ain't that hard. They wouldn't have had to charge anybody overtime. It was so easy. It was easy to do the right thing.
You see when Kay Ivey caught 2 fish on 1 hook?
Ooh.
Lucky. Or how about the time she fought a bear?
Now that one's kind of good.
Wrestled a bear?
She looks bearish like that.
Yeah. I don't know. Congratulations to those who were able to get it over the line, I guess.
I don't know.
Nah.
No, that's no congratulations.
No, as soon as
crooks.
What Troy said, this ain't over. That's how politics works. Y'all do something, okay, there might be consequences.
I know, and our president is living proof of that. I mean, look at that, how it went down a few years ago and where we're at now.
And did you see the latest from Craig Monger? Fireworks erupt in the House after Democrats decry leadership quashing calendar debate. Quote, you have used your authority and abused it this morning. And we kind of got a preview of that with Anthony Daniels on Tuesday.
Look, dude, I like Anthony Daniels. He's gained a fan in me.
But the Alabama House of Representatives got off to a fiery start on Thursday, writes Craig Monger, after Democratic lawmakers took serious offense at House leadership's refusal to permit debate on the special order calendar. Lawmakers, media, and other observers were settling in for a long day on Thursday morning as the House prepared to undertake a series of bills on the calendar and were guaranteed to cause backlash from Democrats. House rules allow for limited debate. House members are permitted to hit a button at their seat, turning on a light to alert the speaker that they intend to speak, either for an allotted amount of time for debate, a point of personal privilege, or a point of order. Have you ever been over there to the State House, actually?
Not since like 5th grade.
Yeah, I hadn't been in there since youth legislature. It was.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I got a bill passed.
That's right.
Well, no, I didn't get passed. I experienced politics firsthand. Like I won the debate in the House. And all it was a non-binding resolution to send to Alabama's congressional delegation to lower the drinking age to 18. These young men and women are going off to fight your wars. They can't have a beer. And
Hey,
also,
I
I was
used to
about
be all about that.
I was
too.
about 17, 18, 19
Right,
years old
I
at the
remember all
time.
about that too. I was behind it 100%.
And I was standing at that very podium we're talking about, taking on all the naysayers, arguing it, and we win the vote in the House. And we're doing the same thing on the Senate side. And I think somebody used their privilege of who was ever playing lieutenant governor or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was clear that the ayes had it when we did a voice vote. And you go, no, nays have it, gaveled. I'm like, what is this? And it's like, we can't in good conscience as a youth legislature. It'll look bad if we pass a bill lowering the drinking age. And it's like,
So it's all about the look bit,
Baptist,
too.
you should have been Catholic. We love to drink.
That's well,
Not like Baptists don't love to drink.
well, your drinking thing makes me go back to the marijuana laws here.
Mm-hmm.
The people stood up, and our leadership said, "Hey, we'll let you vote." Probably thinking, "Hey, they're going to vote against it." Oh crap! The people have spoken. What can we do? Let's delay. What about the lottery bill? People have spoken. They want a lotto bill. Hey, if they want one, they're going to put up with our crap too. You got to change these folks out.
But members can debate for a total of 1 hour on a calendar before voting. Additionally, there is 1 hour of debate for the Budget Isolation Resolution, the BIR, another hour on the bill itself, and another hour on individual actions such as amendments and substitutes. When the calendar came before the body on Thursday, House Speaker Nathaniel Ledbetter called for a vote without allowing anyone to speak. After the calendar passed and the first bill was before the body, State Representative Thomas Jackson from Thomasville, Alabama, took to the mic and lambasted leadership, leading to a tense exchange. Jackson began by objecting that his light for a point of order was ignored, leading Ledbetter to inform Jackson that is at the discretion of the chair, which led to the following exchange. Ledbetter, we will be speaking on the BIR on this bill. Jackson, no, I'm speaking on you not recognizing me because my light was on for a point of order. Ledbetter, Mr. Jackson, we will stay on the bill. Jackson, I'm not speaking on the bill, Mr. Speaker. Ledbetter, you need to go sit down. Jackson, maybe I will, but I'm going to let them take me out of here today. I'm not just going to voluntarily sit down because you have used your authority and abused it this morning because you didn't recognize me for a point of order. While Jackson and Ledbetter continued to exchange, House Minority Leader Anthony Daniels sparred with House Pro Tem Chris Pringle, complaining about the total effing disrespect, saying, I'm not putting up with it.
All right.
Although security was stacked up by the door, none was needed as leadership continued to allow members to vent their frustrations about the bill and the lack of calendar debate. Ledbetter and Daniels had several private exchanges in the aftermath, seemingly trying to smooth tensions. So some fireworks.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
I'd like to see a little bit of passion down there.
We'll see what the next thing is up to, because the session, we still got a long way to go. We got a lot of days where they meet and do stuff. And I just don't feel safe when that's the case.
I don't, man. Makes me hold my wallet just a little bit tighter.
I don't feel secure in my person, my papers, or my effects.
You have your papers?
It's all digital now. You know, you wake up one day and your identity's gone. And you're like in some Kafka novel and they're arresting you, won't tell you what for.
Yeah.
You ever been there?
No, but I could see it happening.
Did you fight?
Nope.
You just go with it?
Go with it for now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's kind of dumb to try to fight a cop.
Oh, fight the cop.
You know, when they show up at your door to arrest you and they don't give you any reason. Like, we're not talking the United States of America. Say you're in, like, Czechoslovakia.
That'd be kind of tough. If I know that I'm in a foreign country as an American, yeah, I don't fight the cop.
No, it's just kind of dumb. Hey, what? Okay.
It's going to be the third chapter of your novel. That time I fought the cop.
Now, I've talked back to some police officers.
Joey, let me tell you.
But it's kind of dumb to fight
I don't think they do this anymore. But used to, they'd put you in the back seat of the car and they'd do a brake check on you.
Mm.
And, you know, there's just that fence between you and them. And, man, your face would be all up in that fence.
Yeah.
Cuffed behind your back.
No, the last time, and I was very annoyed by it. This was years ago, though. I'm down at the riverfront, and I'm not feeling it. So I'm going to go home.
Yeah.
And I had parked at the parking deck that you can enter from walking along the river.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, beautiful sidewalk there.
Exactly.
And I go up the stairs or whatever, and I start to walk across the bridge, and I see there's already, like, the gate is shut on the bridge. I'm like, what's that? And all of a sudden, kind of through the darkness, like shrouded in the darkness, like ahead of me, I hear what is a probably 50-something-year-old man, I got you. And I'm like, I mean, you got me. And he's like, you're the one who's been coming up here and messing with people's cars all these weeks. I'm like, no, my car is this, and it's parked right down there. And immediately, like, whipped out my ID. Here's my name, and, like, I'm parked right down there. He's like, well, you got to go around, then. You can't come through here.
See?
And then...
That's when I start having issues.
Honestly, like, I just climbed over the gate, and I said, no, I'm going to my car. And he's yelled and screamed. I'm like, I'm not the guy you're looking for. And, you know, it's just like, that guy maybe was having a bad day.
I don't know. Those words, I've heard those words from police officers before. Gotcha.
Well, and when you're in high school, and I'm at a house party.
Yeah.
And cops show up, and everybody runs out the back door, and it's a nice enough neighborhood with privacy fences galore, and people are just hopping. Hopping.
They Kool-Aid the fence.
No, they were hopping the privacy fence. Everybody's just scattering.
Got that fear, man.
And I saw one of my friends, he grabs one of the planks of the privacy fence to hop it, and it breaks. And he kind of busts it, and then he climbs over. And when I see him do that, I'm like, and I just turn around, like kind of, I'm in the backyard, and it's a big old cop, flashlight right in the face. What are you doing, son? You been drinking tonight? And I go, no, not actually. I haven't. Why are your friends running? I mean, probably because they were drinking. He's get in the house. So I walk in the back door of the house. I walk out the front door. I get in my car, and I leave.
Not saying that was a bad idea. Just if we're ever in the woods hunting bear, I want you with me. 'Cause I'm running, but I want you to stop and reason with the bear.
I just don't see like the point of running. And then, you know, Eddie's going to come back a few hours later and be like, me and the bear are sipping tea talking about the world.
Good deal.
Like, this is a cool bear, man.
You know, back in Highland Garden days when we used to throw dirt clogs at cars.
Yeah.
God rest his soul, but my good friend Michael Barnett sold us all out. He didn't run as fast as the rest of us. And so when the police officer stopped him, he took the police officer to every one of us where we were hiding.
Yeah.
That's the first time I'd ever been really sold out, especially in the gardens.
Oh, and then another memory just came up in Auburn. I just go right down the block to a gas station from the apartment we're living at.
Yeah.
And we're getting beer, and so it's a Saturday, it's football Saturday, and I'm in line. And I'm of age. I'm like, I'm not doing anything illegal or anything, but I'm standing in line, and the line's it's like 5-6 people in front of me. It's a long line for a gas station, and all of a sudden this Auburn PD officer walks in, walks behind the counter, and looks at all of us and goes, I'm looking for my next DUI.
Oh, good Lord.
And I'm like, what in the world is this? What is this? Man, that's a little over the top, sir.
Well,
all over the top.
You got everybody's attention, didn't you?
Certainly
Anybody
did.
put their beer down and walk out?
No, that would be the wrong thing to do. No, I just kind of looked at him and shrugged. I'm like, okay.
I don't think they do it anymore, but used to on 65, I used to have to go to Birmingham a lot, and they would do like random checks. And so people would put up a sign that says drug check 1.5 miles ahead. And you'd start seeing cars like doing U-turns. I'm like, dude. And the cop, sure enough, that's the guy we're going after.
Yeah. Goodness gracious. Yeah. Anyway, we need to hit a break here. But first, this part of the program brought to you by Josh and Leslie Ryder there at Dillon Rings. Did you see the beautiful engagement ring?
Oh, yes.
That Josh made for his daughter at the request of now his daughter's fiance?
That was absolutely gorgeous.
I mean, that's, as I said earlier, the personal stuff is when it really comes from the heart.
Yep.
But I have a sense any sort of custom design work you're looking for there at Dillon Rings, the reason it's so good, the reason Josh is so good at it, it does come from the heart.
Oh, definitely.
And it's not just custom design, it's also repairs. It could be a spa treatment. You want it to shine and shimmer like it's brand new. That favorite piece of jewelry that you wear all the time that's worn out, it'll shine and shimmer like it's brand new again. They do appraisals as well. And Leslie has put together an amazing selection from high-end jewelry items to everyday jewelry items, fitting whatever budget you might have. So y'all get by there. There's some great discounts this month as well. And be sure to tell them when you stop by 119 Brown Springs Road, be sure to tell Josh and Leslie at Dillon Rings that Joey and Eddie, those fellas on the radio, sent you. We'll be right back.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
We all want access to care and coverage we need to stay healthy, but Farm Bureau health plans aren't the answer. They are unregulated and unreliable when it comes to covering you and your family. If you have cancer or another pre-existing condition, well, you'd be out of luck. Alabama deserves better than empty promises. Call your state legislator now and tell them to vote no on Farm Bureau health plans. Visit fightcancer.org/Alabama. It's time for real health insurance.
Paid for by the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network.
Hello, my name is Twan Nettles Jackson, and I'm the owner of Jackson Tax Service. And when it comes to advertising my business, Blue Water Broadcasting is my #1 choice. I've been using them for several years, and they've definitely helped increase my business. What are you waiting for? Give them a call today.
Our advertisers are our biggest advocates. Call us to find out how radio can increase your bottom line. Blue Water Broadcasting. Local folks helping local business.
When you need a new door or window replaced, you want someone experienced who delivers expert craftsmanship every time. Davis Door and Sash. Right now, you can get a tax incentive for installing energy-efficient doors and windows. Mention this ad and get 10% off materials. Davis Door and Sash was voted Best of the River Region in Windows and Installation in 2024. We'd love to work for you. Call 334-288-6010 or visit DavisDoorandSashAlabama.com. Davis Door and Sash is the perfect fit for your home.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is #1 in the #2 business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
The River Region's first and only news talk station on FM. Live, local talk. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Let's go right to the phones. Talk to Ray Bowles from Prattville Carpet. Hey, Ray, how you doing?
I'm good. Sitting up here in the beautiful city of Dadeville waiting on the customer.
Oh, he's pretty up there.
Oh, yeah, but I had a call today about some boys, and I said, you know what? I've been in the office all day. I'll go up there and measure it. And all the guys were like, oh, come on, I'll go. I'm like, no, I got to get out of here. I'm like a squirrel on crack cocaine.
Stuck in there? Yeah. I don't blame you.
Yeah, I couldn't be a school teacher or any kind of, I don't know how anybody goes to an office all day. I reckon we're all called, and the Lord will give you what you've got to have, but he never made me to sit in the office.
It's tough. Believe you me, especially got a window right behind you here, and you know it's beautiful outside. Yeah.
It don't get me started on meetings. Oh, my word. My mind will be anywhere but in that meeting.
Yep.
See, I like sitting down and staying in the same place, but I still want to be able to do what I want to do. Like, if it's a meeting where you're just listening, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that's awful.
Yeah, everybody keeps swearing up and down, I want to run for mayor of Prattville. I'm like, y'all don't understand how bad I hate meetings. And that's all a mayor is.
Yeah, we're going to have meetings about the next meeting we're going to have. And the next
exactly.
Yep.
No, that's why I love Bill Gillespie so much, because he's willing to sit in meetings. So, yeah, don't want any part of that. But if y'all need a floor, call me. I'll come running. Even if it's Dadeville and you're running a few minutes late, not a big deal. I'll sit on the front porch and wait on you.
Nice.
That number's still 285-8117?
It is, 285-8117. And if you can hear us, we will come to you. Free of charge.
And when y'all call them up at 285-8117, be sure to say, hey, I heard Ray on that radio show with Joey and Eddie.
Hey, y'all. Have a great day.
You too, Ray. See you, bro.
You know, our congressman here in these, well, where we sit, it's Shamari Figures.
Yeah.
But a lot of our listening audience, it's now Gary Palmer.
Yes.
And yesterday there was a big hearing where it was all these mayors from all these, like from
Oh, yeah.
Boston
I've seen
and
clips of
Chicago and all this.
Yep.
And the best looking member of Congress, Anna Paulina Luna, like said, I'm going to refer all y'all for crimes to Pam Bondi. Wait, she's not the best looking member of Congress? That's what you're going to fight with me
No,
over?
this is what I'm going to argue about. When we were at Hyundai, women inside the gate compared to outside the gate.
Well,
has
this is a
different
real
score.
thing. At Fun Zone, that was a rule too. Do not go out with the girls you meet at Fun Zone.
Just saying, it's a different score. So yes, out of the women in Congress, yes, but look what she's being compared to, Joey.
She was a Maxim model.
Was, Joey.
You grew up with too many sisters. Way too many sisters. I can feel the resentment and anger in between the words. But here's Gary Palmer at that same hearing.
Right.
Well, telling it like it is to the Blue City mayors.
Witnesses for being here. I just want to respond about crimes committed by people here illegally. Every crime committed by someone in the United States illegally is a crime that would not have been committed. Lincoln Riley, Ruby Garcia, Rachel Morin, Joycelyn Nungaray, the woman set on fire in the New York subway. These are all assaults, rapes, murders, and other crimes that would not have taken the lives of these people if those people were not here illegally. They were given safe harbor. Now, I want to ask you something. You all took an oath of office. Mr. Adams, did you swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States?
Yes, I do.
How about you, Mayor Johnson?
Yes, sir, I did.
How about you, the other Mayor Johnson?
Yeah, the Constitution of the United States as well as the Constitution of Illinois.
Okay, and Mayor,
Yes.
you did. Are you familiar with the Supremacy Clause? Any of you?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay. Then under the Supremacy Clause, you understand that the laws of the United States take precedent over the laws of Colorado, over the laws of Illinois, over the laws of Massachusetts, and your cities. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir, I do.
But when you declared your cities sanctuary cities, you did so illegally. Do you understand that?
Respectfully, sir, I would disagree with that. We follow
You're
every
disagreeing
federal
with
law.
the law. It's against the law to give sanctuary to people who have committed felonies, and it's a felony to cross the border legally.
There
You
is no-
gave sanctuary to people who are here illegally. You violated your oath to uphold the Constitution because of the Supremacy Clause. The laws of the United States take preference.
All right. Seeing Gary Palmer get a little
Well, I'm
fancy
glad he
there.
did
I
it.
like
He
to
just
see
broke it
that.
down for him, so there's no escape. This is what you did. Yeah, but but did you break the law? That's what the law says. Well, yes.
Well, we're not violating any laws. We're just not helping you, is what they're probably going to say.
Violating. I mean, like
Well, and you
just
could
said.
also be, it's the supreme law of the land pursuant to the Constitution. So a state and locality could be like, well, I think what you're doing is unconstitutional. We should fight this
Then you
in
take
court.
me to court.
Right. Well, and that's what we've been doing for decades now. So anyway. Hey, let's go to line one. You're on there. Who's this?
Hey, you guys, it's Woody.
Hey, Woody, what's up, man?
Not much. I was going to ask you, can you give me an update on what's going on with the, what are the chances that overtime, no tax on overtime bill, is that pretty much
I don't know.
gone?
That's down the road here. There's a lot of days left in the session. Today was spent on passing that overhaul of the Veterans Board, and they did pass it. It will be signed into law by
yeah, I heard
Kay.
that. Yeah,
Pathetic.
yeah, I heard that.
But the
That's
overtime bill,
pitiful.
that's
I
something
hope-
that worries me too.
I hope it comes back and bites them.
Me too. I can't wait for
All
it.
right, well, y'all have a good evening.
You too, Woody.
Remember this. Cat keeps scratching. Bye.
See you, Woody. I hope it. I don't know how quickly it could bite them in the butt, but I sure hope it does.
2026, baby.
But a lot of them, and I'm not saying this about ours, but a lot of these folks don't care because there's a buyout clause. You do this dirty deed for me, and yes, you're going to lose the election, but you know what? You'll never have to work a day again in your life.
Is it that good?
I've been down these YouTube rabbit holes. Yeah.
Maybe we should run for office. We're in the wrong business.
Yeah, but we like to sleep at night, Joey. We're a little bit too
That
honest.
is true. I do like to sleep at night.
Me too.
You giving up anything for Lent, even though you're not Catholic?
No, not really.
No, hadn't thought of it.
No. My sanity, but I'm doing that kind of regularly anyway. So.
I think celibacy is in order.
Did you do the whole ash thing?
I didn't.
Is that part of your tribe?
Not a very good Catholic.
Okay, I just didn't know if that was part of your tribe or not.
Yeah. I was raised Catholic. I've been saying that for years. Kind of. I have heretical thoughts according to the Catholic Church. I'll put it that way.
I could understand that.
Like I just shared a Tolstoy quote on Facebook. He's Christian.
Yeah, but
not in good standing with the Holy Roman Catholic.
no, but
Church.
to be honest, you didn't just go to church on the weekends. You weren't a part-timer. I mean, you were there.
No, we had classes about
Yeah.
theology. We would go to mass every Friday morning, and my parents would take me to mass every Sunday morning.
Man.
So yeah, no, I was in it. In a lot of ways, I think it shaped me, and I would never. I don't regret it.
Wouldn't
I think
change
it
it,
was a
right.
great experience. I think it gives me a unique perspective, even in these parts. I think folks largely get along in these parts compared to several decades ago. There used to be a little more friction between the denominations, but the Catholic community here is mine, no matter my heretical thoughts.
Well, I will say this: I'm not the most religious person in the world, but it is nice to know when all seems to be in despair, I do feel like God's got my back. I've got somebody there.
Yeah.
So I don't know how other people do it. I really don't.
Anything else we learned today? I don't know how much of the show you listened to.
I didn't get to hear much. I learned that Doris is a wonderful listener. I look forward to working with her.
Doris.
Yes.
Hello, Doris.
We've
Thank you
got
for
some
listening.
great listeners out there.
I know we do, man.
It's funny.
Yeah, we got a lot of folks that are just
Salt
salt of the earth.
We've got some now that'll say, "Hey," like I was in Lowe's earlier, and somebody said, "Hey, Eddie," and I turned around and there was nobody there, and then they said it again, and they just said, "Hey," and kept walking.
Well, today we learned that rescission is the way to go for DOGE and Mr. Musk.
Rescission.
Rescission.
What is this?
Oh, have you not heard about this
no,
yet?
sir, I haven't. You got time?
Oh, we got time.
Okay.
Rescission is where a president
Mhm.
can say, I don't want to spend, like a Budget Authority Act or whatever.
okay.
I don't want to spend this $500 billion. That's what Rand Paul suggested. Make it $500 billion.
Okay.
All the stuff DOGE finds, the president can go, okay, I don't want to spend it. It is a process to take what Congress has already appropriated and say, nope, let's cut
like
it.
that.
Let's not do it. It was out of that Impoundment Act fight in the 70s. It provided, so here's how it works. The president goes, I don't want to spend $500 billion.
Yeah.
Then it takes a 51-person vote, a simple majority vote by the Senate to pass
We
it
got that.
and rescind that funding. We got that.
We got that.
And Rand Paul apparently came up with it, but Lindsey Graham's on board too. I met with Elon and I told him, let's cut that stuff.
That's what the weather vane told him.
Elon, how are you getting all these women pregnant? I've been trying.
Look, dude, if Elon, I mean, let's be honest, he's got money. I don't see him going out of the way to woo these women either. I don't think he's got that.
No, there are stories.
Charisma.
One of my favorite videos about Elon Musk is this beautiful blonde British bird. And she's like getting to know him at some conference, I think. And he's like, you want to come up to my room and watch rocket videos?
See, exactly.
And she thought it was like him putting on the move.
No,
they
really
just
wanted to go
literally went up to the room and watched rocket videos.
That's what I mean.
And I think that the guy is just so, he's in his own world.
Imagine like halfway through the first one, she's looking over like, we're really watching rocket videos.
Oh, man, after my own heart.
Love it.
Anyway, we got to get out of here. We're out of time. But it's good seeing you today,
Yeah,
man.
I'll be back, Mayana. Will we have Craig tomorrow?
Craig will be in. And Craig was down there for the big showdown, as we
good
just
deal.
read earlier. And Craig should have plenty to talk about with state politics. And we'll, every day, like drinking out of a fire hose when it comes to national news. So we shall see. Y'all stay tuned. Happy Hour with Greg Budell. He's next.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusada, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says he welcomes indications that the U.S. may delay substantial tariffs on Canadian